You're listening to the NWA, the Nubian Wrestling Advocates.
You are now about to witness the strength of street knowledge.
Yo, it's Righteous Reg. It's a case for the safe, keep a space for the Nubians. Unfiltered, off kilter, the professor, the godfather, post wrestling the NWA, not keep guessing, The views and expressions, you know the rest, it's pod excellence, get the message. Advocates for Nubian wrestling, you're listening to the best again. Black wrestling in the ring, we invested in. Nubian kings and queens, we invested in. It's for the culture and we reppin' it. It's for the culture and we reppin' it.
And welcome to the NWA Podcast, the Nubian Wrestling Advocates, the program all about getting color in the professional wrestling business. We are back and better than ever, ladies and gentlemen. And we have so much to talk about on this August edition of the podcast. So let's not waste any time. Let's not dilly-dally, man. Let's not delay the proceedings this month. Let's get into it by first letting you know who we are. We are, of course, the Advocates. I am the Godfather, Nate Milton, your favorite podcaster's favorite podcaster. 10 years in the game, ain't a damn thing changed. And I am joined by my co-host who has been experiencing a lot of weather issues lately in the city of Angels. He is the mayor pro tem of Los Angeles, California. He is the angry intellectual. He is one half of the Kings of Sport podcast. And of course, maybe more importantly than all of that, he is my brother and he is my friend. Ladies and gentlemen, y'all give it up for the professor himself, Kris Ealy. Can we rock? What's up, Doc?
Man, chilly. Yeah, this weather is nuts. Tomorrow is supposed to be my first teaching day at Cal State Fullerton. I just don't know if that's happening tomorrow because this weather is so nuts at the moment.
Come on, Kris. Have we learned nothing in the past few weeks? Like, have the Alabama Avengers taught us nothing? If not, black people can do remarkable things in the water, brother.
Yeah, man. We didn't even get a chance to talk about that yet, but yeah, man.
I need you to embrace your inner Aquaman.
Right. Yeah. National. I only swim on International F Around and Find Out Day. Now that's the only day I'm doing any swimming. Yeah, but yeah, so yeah, it's a lot that's gone down in wrestling, a lot that's gone down in mainstream media, man. It's a smorgasbord of stuff, man.
Yeah,
so much.
It's a lot going on, Kris, and normally this would be the part of the episode where I would introduce the third member of the Advocates, of course, the youngest in charge, Andrew Thompson, but the brother is on assignment this week, so we want to send love to the nephew out there, and he will be back next month, but this month, Kris, we decided to bring in somebody to, if not fill the nephew's shoes, at least sit in the nephew's chair. And he is somebody who should be no stranger to the postmarks out there. He joined us for the July edition of the NWA podcast, and he is also a member of Team Kings of Sport International. Some people call him the rookie, Kris.
Mm-hmm.
Some people call him Sugar Ray, but I call his brother $10 Day Ray, 10-day Raymondo Williams, back with us on the NWA podcast. Brother Ray, what's good?
Everything's all right. Like you said, huge shoes to fill, huge chair to fill, but I'm feeling all right. Matter of fact, on this day, I see clearly everything has come to life, as evidence if you're listening on the podcast by my t-shirt.
Okay.
And this DVD set.
Okay. Yeah. That's what you call bars, ladies and gentlemen.
Right.
But yeah, so I feel like, Kris, I need to get a couple of housekeeping items out of the way before we get into the topics this week. Obviously, if you've seen the episode title, the Miseducation of Adam Copeland, we're going to start off things this month by talking about Edge and his WWE legacy and what the future may hold for the brother. We're also going to get into the latest on Cash Wheeler. Of course, you know, we got to talk about the Muffin Man. We can't go a month without talking about that Muffin Man, Phil Brooks. And then we're going to end off things this month by talking about All In and giving our thoughts and predictions for AEW's All In. And of course, if you want to join the conversation, there's one way. Well, there's many ways to join the conversation, but there's one way, Kris, to get to the front of the line, and that's by smashing that super chat button. That gets you to the front of the line tonight live. And you can interact with Kris, Ray, and myself. Second point of housekeeping. You know, Ray out here showing off his wardrobe for the evening. I got my wardrobe for the evening. And I know some of y'all is like, why is the Godfather out here wearing this WWE paraphernalia, wearing this Triple H propaganda? And the answer is very simple. Some of y'all know my birthday was last week's. That's another thing. That's another thing I'll get to here in a second. Time is so crazy lately, Kris. I can't even keep the day straight. But my birthday was on the 11th. And so shout out to everybody that sent me love, man. I appreciate it, even if I didn't have a chance to respond to everybody individually. But my sister sent me this shirt, as well as, you know, since Ray out here showing product placement and stuff that we ain't getting paid for, my sister sent me Nick Fury Secret Invasion Funko, as well as this WWE shirt. So I told her that I would rock the WWE shirt on the next show that I did. So shout out to my sister Vanjie, love you, appreciate you, and the rest of the fam out there in Carolina.
And we don't have any affiliations with anybody. So if we want to wear a WWE shirt, we can do that. If we want to,
I didn't want people to think I was out here like your boy O'Shea Jackson Jr. Kris. Just we might need to get that brother on the show, because I didn't know he was this big of a wrestling fan. Like the last couple weeks, little Cube Jr. on these streets, going back and forth in wrestling Twitter. It's been interesting to see. But
I've had some exchanges with him. The exchanges with Junior have been better than the exchanges I've had with Senior. That's all I'm saying about that.
Yeah. We might have to see about talking to that brother, man, because I think that'd be a fascinating conversation. But yes, as Kris said, we're not affiliated, we're not owned by any promotion out there. We talk about all of them, but I did want to show my little sister some love for the birthday gift. And then the final bit of housekeeping, Ray, you mentioned that man Edge. So that is what we're going to kick off this month talking about. But, you know, one of his monikers, Ray, one of his nicknames was the Rated R Superstar. And this episode, it might not be a R-rated episode, but we might get a little more PG-13 than usual. Because here's the thing, Ray, I'm pulling back the curtain, and I think Kris knows this, man. I'm tired, y'all. So today, Sunday the 20th, was day 7 of 7 at the shoot job for me, and day 15 out of 17. Ooh. And these are 10-hour, 11-hour days. And so the way I can describe it, Ray, I feel like if you created a fighter on the video game, my resiliency is at 100, my durability is at 0. I take one punch and I'm down, but I'm gonna get back up. But it ain't gonna take too much to knock me down. So this episode is not maybe it won't be as organized as most of my normal episodes, Kris. We might be a little more loosey goosey, but when the nephew's away, the uncles and cousin Ray will play, brother. So let's start this month by talking about a brother that's working maybe as hard as me, Kris, maybe even harder. This man been working hard for a minute. We are talking about the good brother Adam Copeland, aka Edge, on these streets. It looks like it's a wrap on the WWE career. We had the big emotional send off on SmackDown this past Friday night, Kris. So first of all, let's start with you, Professor. What are your thoughts on the way, like, because Edge and they had a great video package that they showed on Friday night, kind of encapsulating the different eras within Edge's career. What are your lasting thoughts about Edge, the way that he went out, and what he has meant to the WWE, brother?
Well, I'm hesitant to say anytime someone retires who's already retired, it's really hard for me to say, oh, this is really it. And I pay attention to the words that people say. And I didn't watch that episode live, but I did watch it back on YouTube. And it didn't sound that emphatic to me that he was ending it. But so I had to preface what I was going to say with that. But I will say this. I do love Edge as a wrestler and a person. I haven't been feeling this second run as much as I felt his first run. I think, and it's not even like so much a knock on him. It just there were a lot of times I was watching WWE and it really just didn't feel like he loved being there. I'm not gonna bash the dude and say he was phoning it in or anything. It's just
you can't say that, Kris. This man gave us the greatest wrestling match ever with Randy Orton, dog.
Oh yeah. Yeah, but I'm a fan of Edge. Like, and people like usually fall or I'm more of a Christian guy than Edge, but that's not a bash on Edge. It's just
right.
I thought Christian just he's always came across as a little bit more. Christian doesn't have to like try as hard to be slimy as Edge does. It's like the stuff that Edge did sometimes was just a little bit over the top, like when he had that makeout sesh with Vicky Guerrero and stuff like that. It was interesting. But it wasn't, you know what I'm saying? It seemed like we're trying to get this guy booed. You know, with Christian, it was always just like all this dude had to do was just look at somebody and he got
just breathe.
Yeah, really, man. And but I do love Edge, and I hope that, you know, if he's going out this is the way he wants to go out, I'm very, very happy for him. I think that he has given so much to wrestling and the WWE, and I celebrate that guy. You know, I think we always get caught up on the intricacies and like the, you know, I got no time for that with Edge. I think that dude, just the decades and the years that he had, spent time away, you know, and he didn't really. The first time he went out and retired, the last match he had was against, was it Del Rio? It was it was a storybook ending, but that's not the way he wanted to go out. You know, I think he'd much rather go out on his back, losing to Sheamus, and you know, doing something like that. You know, I think if he does have any other match, I think it will be to kind of pass the torch, so to speak.
Okay. So, Ray, what are your thoughts on this brother Edge, this man Adam Copeland, and his career, his legacy, the way things have kind of ended for now, at least, with the WWE? What are your thoughts on this rated R superstar, Ray?
Well, full transparency, I'm a huge Edge fan. He's actually my favorite WWE wrestler. Stone Cold comes like slightly second.
Oh, wow.
Like, and
so you an edge head for real on these streets, right?
Indeed. Yes, sir. And he's also like one of my top 3 wrestlers. behind Samoa Joe and Bryan Danielson. So I just really hold him to high regard, not just because of his character work, where he can have you cheering for him in one segment, he can have you laughing in another segment, he can have you booing hysterically in another segment. It's just so many different levels and layers to his character that he could just mix in. And not only that, but Chris alluded to it, not only is he a phenomenal wrestler, a phenomenal character, but he's even a better human being. From everything that we hear from other wrestlers, how they talk about him, it's like the worst thing that he pretty much did was consensually hook up with
Dirty
another
Mackin.
wrestlers. Yeah, girlfriend. It's like that's the worst thing you can think of, though, that he's done. Yeah. And that was like 20 years ago. Like,
right.
You don't see him on here. He ain't out here in secret sex tapes dropping the N-word. He ain't out here yelling at people on press conferences while enjoying breakfast pastries. This man is doing, which we will get to. Like, this brother is a true and consummate professional, and he's just a splendid human being from what we hear. And that means a lot when it comes to all these people always say, hey, you never want to meet your heroes. Well, I would love to meet Edge because he seems like just a terrific person all around.
What did Paul Heyman say? Hide your wives. It's Edge.
Yes.
I completely forgot about that until you brought it.
Yo. First of all, Ray, I'm glad that you had a chance. Like, I didn't know you were an Edge fan before I asked you to come on the show this week. But that's cool. Anytime y'all hear a brother using words like splendid in natural conversation, that's coming from the heart, ladies and gentlemen. So that's good to know that you had that affinity for this brother Edge. And now I'm in the awkward position, ladies and gentlemen, of being I'm always the glass half full guy on any show I'm on, Chris. I feel like in this specific instance, I'm gonna be the Debbie Downer of the crew. And let me preface this, like, I respect everything this brother's done in the ring. I respect the character work. I respect the fact that this man went through an injury that would have kept a lot of people out of the game, came back and had a good second run, right? Like, I think this second run, while you can make the argument it wasn't as great as the first run, it has lasted longer than I thought it would, right? Like, he was a regular part of television and not so much the special attraction that I thought he would be.
Yeah, so he came back and main evented at WrestleMania.
Yep, so you got to give that brother credit for that. My thing with Edge, though, Ray and Chris, is I've always felt, and it's funny how life kind of works, I felt at the beginning of his career, Edge was underrated. Then I think Edge went through a big stretch, and it kind of coincided with that time period where he was dirty macking. That I think he was overrated and put in a position above where he was at the time. You know what I mean? Like, I think Edge is a Hall of Famer, so don't get it twisted. When you hear me say this, I just think that the acceleration of Edge was not a natural acceleration. The acceleration happened because of this personal thing between him and Matt Hardy and Lita. And so, well, here's the thing, Chris. We see every day in our jobs, in our lives, people put in positions that they maybe have not earned or deserved yet. The question is, do they go out there and show that they deserve to be in that spot? And I think with Edge, did he deserve to be in that spot at the time when they put him in that spot? Probably not, given what else was going on the card. But he showed that, they may have given me the ball early. You know what I mean, Ray? They may have given me a couple snaps before it was my time, but I earned it. And he went out and showed it.
I will say this. I'm gonna defend Edge a little bit because in 2005, when he cashed in his Money in the Bank against John Cena, they gave him like a 2-week run with the world title. In that 2-week run where he had the world title, Raw was getting record ratings when he was a champ. And for whatever reason, by the time WrestleMania 21 came around, they decided, we're not going to go with you, Edge. We're going to go with Triple H or whatever. So Edge.
I wonder how that happened, Chris.
Yeah. So I think that he would. I think I understand what you're saying. I really do, but I do think Edge was a victim of a brief start-stop push.
Right.
You know, I think if he would have held that belt a little bit longer, and he would have fought John Cena at that WrestleMania instead of was this 05 or 06? I think it was 06. If he would have fought John Cena instead of Triple H, I think it was just because Triple H, that's who they had scheduled, and I don't think they expected Edge to get over the way he did. That live sex celebration thing, the week, the thing, those things drew ratings. You know what I'm saying? Those drew some big. Like I remember at the time reading in the Observer, Meltzer said they were getting like close to 1998 ratings with Edge in that like position, right? But yeah, I do think after like when I do think there was a time where they took the belt off of him fast. They didn't capture the same magic with him that they would have had if they would have just went with him, you know. That's my opinion on that situation.
And to that point though, Chris, like again, like I feel like yes, you know, maybe the rocket was strapped to his back a bit early, but we've seen other guys where they've done that too, and they folded under the pressure. And Edge didn't do that. You know what I mean? You talk about that time period where he was, you know, where he became the rated R superstar, and he was this ultimate dick heel, and you know had Lita out here dressing like a skeezer, a skip scap scallywop, if you will. And I've been watching a lot of Dave Chappelle show the last couple of nights because that's the only way I can unwind after these work days, right? It was the Players Ball episode the other night, so that's fresh on the mind. The Player Haters Ball. But I think that for Edge, like you know, to your point, Ray, when you have that combination of both the in-ring, you know, let's not forget this dude was part of that SmackDown 6 era. This dude was out here with the Dudleys and the Hardys, and him and Christian, they changed the game in terms of like North American tag team wrestling and what tag teams were doing at the time. You know, this man Edge was able to combine like the technical stuff with the hardcore stuff. The character work was always on point. The promos were on point. And so to me, Edge like started off underrated, got to a point for me personally where he was overrated. But now by the time we're here, I think he is properly rated. And, you know, I can't, you know, just off the top of my head say, you know, he's top 5 all time WWE or top 10 or whatever. But I think you can make a case like he's at least at minimum, you're talking like top 15, top 20 all time WWE for what he has done over the length and breadth of his career.
Yeah. Go ahead, Ray.
I was going to say real quick.
You ain't going to say nothing, Ray. You ain't going to say nothing, Ray, because I kicked you out the chat inadvertently, Ray. That's what happens when you disagree with the Godfather, brother. Let's see if we can effort to get Ray back. Back on the podcast, y'all.
Right.
See if Ray has learned his lesson. Don't cross the boss, brother. Oh, now what were you gonna say, player?
He was overrated. I agree.
Acknowledge me, Ray.
But what I was going to quickly say is I do agree with your point is where Brother Nate, you were talking about people who are pushed too early and just fold under the pressure. And let's also look at the other end, especially recently when you're looking at guys like Rusev when it was back in the WWE, and that Rusev day was catching on, but for some reason they weren't trying to pull the trigger. Same thing with LA Knight, like everybody's shouting his name. Everybody's going after him, but they're just not pulling the trigger. But it was good to see like Edge, who even though he might have been too early, let's not forget up to that point, like he was doing great stuff in the tag team. He was doing great stuff on the Intercontinental Championship circuit. I believe that might have been either prior to or before, prior to or right after his feud Mick Foley at WrestleMania,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just like you could see that he's building up that character, and you could
Right.
see that he did have the chops. So when he was given the ball, even though, as you say, Nate, as you say, a little bit too early, he was still ready for it. And even though, like you said, Chris, he was only given that championship for 4 weeks, he was doing his best to come across as a main event player.
Yeah, and I will say this about Edge too. He's one of the last wrestlers that the fans kind of got to grow up with, right? You watched him doing this thing as I don't even know what the fuck his character was, where he did the little flip where he was like on New York subways and stuff. And, he did that forward flip and concussed Jesus Castillo from the Los Boricuas and all that stuff. He went from that to tag teaming with Sable.
I remember. Yeah, I was gonna say yes. I'm glad you brought that up because my earliest memory of Edge was in a mixed tag, Chris, where it was Edge and Sable versus Jacqueline and Marcus Vanderberg's favorite black wrestler, Mark Marrow.
Yeah. You got to see him do the tag team stuff, be an IC champ, and do this stuff for a while up until he got a chance to run with the world title. It wasn't like an overnight thing with him. Now it seems like for most guys, like Kofi Kingston's one of those people. This is what happened with Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels, where you watch them at the bottom rung go up to the top rung, and and WWE just doesn't like doing that with people anymore. If you're not over immediately, like what's the dude's name? I forget. Theory, Austin Theory.
Your favorite wrestler?
Yeah, all of our favorite wrestler, right? So here the thing with that dude is that I think he would have benefited from if he started off as a corny face, because that's the formula in WWE that seems to work. You start off as a corny face, then you turn into a heel, and then if you're good enough as a heel, people will start cheering you. That's what they did with The Rock, Randy Orton. This is just a time-tested formula in that company. You start off corny, and then you kind of, once people get tired of you being corny, then you kind of, Jungle Boy is another one in AEW. You start off corny, Bagwell, all these people, and then you get to like show you got some edge to you as a heel, and then it gets fans to like you. And Edge kind of went on that same kind of trajectory also, because again, I didn't know what his character was up until he got a chance to turn heel and do that stuff with Christian. All that stuff was hilarious, man. It was like the funniest stuff
for the benefit of those with flash photography.
It was easily the funniest stuff that you looked forward to seeing. They did do some culturally stupid bullshit with them, with like, you can't have a black man and a blonde-haired, blue-eyed white man feud over a shampoo commercial.
Shampoo and commercial in Japan.
And then use the angle to make fun of the black man's hair. That shit is just never cool. This wasn't Edge's fault. I'm not blaming Edge for it, but you just don't do that shit. You just don't. But you know, they did what they could to make it work. It's like I said, Edge is his build was natural. So even if you thought he was overrated, I think he's easier to accept because you saw the grind with that guy, and it was a grind. He wasn't given anything overnight. And that's what's missing with a lot of wrestlers. Like right now, WWE, not anymore, but they were telling us Austin Theory is the guy. And when you do that to people are going to spit him right back out, especially if they don't see him as the guy.
We don't believe you. You need more people.
Exactly. So, and that's one thing I do love about Edge's run. and even if I didn't love the second run so much, my whole thing with that dude, I never said he sucked one time in that run. My whole thing with him is this guy just looks tired and is going through the motions. And that was the first time I ever said that throughout his career. So I'm glad he got that match with Sheamus.
And I think, Ray, to kind of wrap up Edge, the Edge topic, and maybe even spin it forward here, I will say one thing before I pose this question to you as our official Edge head in the crew this month. But I think, Edge is not a top 5 WWE wrestler for me, but he might have a top 5 entrance theme catalog, because you start off, you think you know me. We hit him with that brood.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Then we coming through, Ray. Never gonna stop that Rob Zombie joint.
Yeah. Never gonna stop me.
Yeah, that joint was hot for a little minute.
It was.
And then you had like the you think you know me, but it's like a little remix kind of version. So Edge has always had really quality theme music and the presentation. Like even when the material, Chris alluded to that Booker T feud over a Japanese shampoo commercial. Like even when the material wasn't the best for him, the character to me always worked. And as you said, Ray, by all accounts, just as good a dude outside of the ring, except for that one time when he was dirty macking, as he is, as he was inside of the ring. So do you think this is it for your boy, though, Ray? Do you think this is it for him in general? This is it for him in the WWE? Might we see a reunion in AEW between Edge and that man Christian at last? He's on his own. What are your thoughts on Edge's future, Ray, as we kind of witness what happened on SmackDown this past week?
Right. I have a question for you before you answer that. How much, if you're Tony Khan, how much do you pay Edge to come and show up in England?
Ooh. Like a week after? That's like some Lex Luger type stuff.
Put him in the puffy pirate shirt. That's Adam Copeland. He doesn't work here, Tony.
Hey. Man, I don't know. I don't think for Edge, I think with him, I believe he believes his home is WWE. Yes, so I think even if he doesn't wrestle anymore, you have to empty out. You'll have to back up the Brinks truck in order to get him to turn or to go over to AEW. And by the way, quick side note, talking about entrance themes, Christian had some bangers as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it would take a lot, especially with the partnership that Beth has with WWE as well, as where she does commentary every once in a while, and just the relationship that they have with the WWE. I think that'll be a lot to break with just like you'll have to, like I said, he'll have to back up the Brinks truck in order to get him to come over, especially on a week's notice. But I don't know if you guys saw, there was some fan video taken not of the variety of the Muffin Man, which we'll get into,
right?
But there was some fan video taken of after SmackDown, and he mentioned specifically, and like I think you said it earlier, Chris, he very careful with his words. He didn't say that this was his last match. He said this was his last time performing in Toronto because he doesn't think he can make it around for another cycle. So he didn't specifically say it's his last match. So like Chris was saying, I think he feels as though he owes it to the folks in the back, the guys in the locker room, to at least lift somebody up so that they can get a shot, like a similar shot that he had back when he was younger and back when he was grinding. So I think he might make maybe one more title run against Roman. No, that's not happening. But I think even though he's on SmackDown, we see that brands don't matter. But We know that I think he may make one more run, possibly at the World Heavyweight Championship against Seth, and then I think once that wraps up, I think he'll call it a career.
And what do you think about that comment right there on the screen, Ray, talking about maybe some of the hints being dropped about Edge and AEW? Because I agree with what you said, Ray. Like, I think he's a WWE lifer, and this is a different situation to me than the Daniel Bryan Danielson situation, because that brother still wanted to go, and they wouldn't let him go. And so he had to go to a place that would let him get back in that ring, as opposed to Edge, who I think, like, if Edge wanted to wrestle tomorrow, they'd be like, cool, come on, Adam.
Yeah.
So I think it's a different situation, but what do you think about that comment right there, Ray?
Yeah, even though Christian's over there, I just think, especially with the character that Christian is portraying right now, I don't know. I don't know how you can at least make that connection with him going over there. I can possibly see him going over there in a behind the scenes producing / agent role. But with him being in front of the camera, I'm not as certain. At least not away, at least not at Wembley. But maybe within 6 months to a year, if that. But yeah, I just think that he feels his home is WWE, especially with how much they've been supporting him, especially with him coming back initially for that Royal Rumble in 2020.
That was the highlight of to Chris's point. The second run has been a bit uneven, but I think that is easily the highlight of the second run, that return.
And I will say this about Edge, and I'll say this about all wrestlers. When you hit free agency, if you've done everything you could do in one company, it is okay to look at the other company. Your loyalties lie with your pocketbooks. They don't lie with Vince McMahon.
Talk to him, Chris.
If TK is offering you enough money and he's willing to give you more than Vince and Co are willing to do, that is okay if you go there. And I was like that with, I wouldn't have mind seeing a Hangman Adam Page WWE run if that's where he wanted to go, because once you've done everything you could do in a company, you do kind of like what Cody Rhodes famously said a few years ago. It was time to leave the territory, and I don't
wrestlers used to do that all the time, Chris.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't see anything like the relationship is WWE did do a lot for him. He's done a lot for WWE also.
Yep, that's true.
That's how the relationship works. It's a symbiotic thing. You scratch my back, I scratch yours. If Tony Khan wants to offer this guy a buttload of money, and Edge likes the offer, please don't judge him if he takes it.
Right.
I think that, I'll tell you this: if TK manages to squeeze in someone like Edge to show up in Wembley, I will pay for the pay-per-view the week after also. Right now, I'm only paying for the Wembley show. But if he's able to pull something like that, I'll go ahead and cough up some money for the week after show as well. Because that would be just kind of like, okay, that is just like drawing a definite line in the sand that I think that needs to happen. I do think AEW needs to do a better job of taking advantage of these lines that they draw in the sand. But I think just, even if you don't plan on doing anything with Edge, just the fact that you had him show up in Wembley
the week after he retired.
Yeah. Jesus, right. And I don't want people online saying he's turning on. He's not turning on anybody. Jesus Christ. You get offered a check
Don't you love WWE, Edge?
Yeah.
Look, Tina Turner said, "What's love got to do with it? Who needs a heart, Chris, when a heart can't pay mortgages?"
Right, exactly. That's
what we're talking about. So, speaking of love, sending all the love to that brother Adam Copeland with whatever he decides to do with his future, man. He's a Hall of Famer in all three of our accounts. Even though I was the hater on I was Jermaine on this one, Chris. We all got respect for that brother. So let's celebrate his career. Now let's go from something to celebrate to something that's a little bit less joyous. Let's talk about this brother Cash Wheeler.
Oh, Jesus Christ!
Out here on these streets. Before we turn on these microphones, people, Chris and I were talking about that infamous Arn Anderson promo where he talked about what he would do if somebody got in his way in traffic. Ray, I got cash. May have taken that promo a little too close to home because he was arrested. What was it, Friday night?
Jesus.
For brandishing a firearm during a traffic altercation. And obviously, the wrestling side of things, like what does this mean for, All In and FTR on the Bucks and all that. But to me and to Chris, I think, Ray, the bigger question and the more important question is, as a human being, what does this mean for this dude, Cash Wheeler? So I don't know if you had a chance to see much about the story, but what are your thoughts? And how do you think this is going to turn out for the brother?
Well, I was hearing bits and pieces because this is it's like a relatively fast moving story. Like it just came out, Friday night, I think. The 18th. Yeah. So, and from what I heard, I believe he'd seen a judge or he'd gotten arraigned or whatnot. And I don't know if they're pressing charges or whatnot, but apparently they're not taking his passport. So presumably if he doesn't get disciplined by AEW, which, well, we pretty much know that it's going to be a slap on the wrist. He's going to go ahead over to Wembley to defend that tag team title against the Young Bucks along with Dax Harwood. Man, it's a strange situation. And man, yeah, I didn't realize. I knew he had the AEW tag strap. I didn't know he had another strap.
And then we see the comments. We're gonna put some of those up for those watching live.
I'm seeing it
Sunday night. Yeah. And so, Chris, I feel like this is the time. This is the kind of conversation, Chris, where you and I, like, we want to do our best to cover this with the weight. That something like this, like, because this is a serious issue, man. You just popping off in the middle of the street with this road rage or whatever. But there is some humor in the situation, Chris. But also, like, I think you of all people, you are the kind of person, given your career, given your life experience, that can both see the funny side of this, but also see like this is something that shouldn't just be a slap on the wrist.
Right. Yeah. So this is the thing, man. I grew up around guns because I started off in LA, moved to Tennessee. The gun culture out there is nuts. I understand why people want to have guns. I think I don't travel with a strap. We don't even have a gun anymore because it's LA and it's harder to get it registered and stuff. But road rage incidences are real things. People are behind the wheel of a car. They are not acting as themselves. Something psychologically happens to them to where if you have a gun on you, it just does something nuts to you. And it's like Nate was saying, that's not like a smack on the wrist. Like I remember.
Real quick, Chris, we do have a bit of clarification. So he was arraigned on Friday. But the incident actually happened on July 27th.
Yeah, July 27th. That is correct.
It's Cash's first time offense, and he'll get probation. He bailed out for $2,500. So appreciate you for the clarification. Go ahead, Craig.
Yeah. I think that was the bond amount too, if I'm not mistaken.
Gotcha.
So the bail was like $25,000.
Gotcha.
But anyway, So, but yeah, you can't do stuff like that. and I don't. His issues are not with the state of Florida where it happened, because Florida's gonna get. I mean, it's fucking Florida.
Ron DeSantis. We're like, come on now.
Place. They're gonna let him have his passport. What he's gonna have to worry about is entering into England and entering in other countries. Because I know for a fact that you just don't enter in countries. I don't care what the United States of America says, unless TK knows some people that knows some people who, and he probably does.
Yeah, or at least his money knows people.
Yeah. They, there is a chance that he won't get let into England. That chance always exists, man. So it's one of those. Remember what the MMA? The what's the guy's name? I'm blanking on his name. He who did the guy was some guy was molesting his niece, so he thought it was a good idea to open fire. Go ahead.
Cain Velasquez.
Cain Velasquez. And I know the judge who wouldn't let that fool out of jail. And people were saying, "Hey, like you don't have a right to open fire, on people. Right. You don't have a right to be brandishing your gun." The judge who held Velasquez in jail, she was 100% right for doing it, because you can't be you can't. That is reckless behavior with a firearm. You could get other people hurt.
Right. Because even if that individual deserved to get his ass beat, you don't know who was in that spot.
Right.
Could have been other people, kids.
Yes, exactly. And in these city streets, that kind of thing happens all the time, especially if you live in a neighborhood where something like that has happened before. With Cash Wheeler's situation, someone cuts you off in traffic or does something like that, you can't just you don't know what someone else is going through. When you're doing something like that, man, they could get a heart attack because you scare them to death. Flashing a firearm at them. And I think if England were to say you can't enter our country, I think we as wrestling fans will have to understand why they are doing that, because that's just stuff you cannot do. And I want him at the fan in me wants to see this guy in England. It's only 2 matches on that card that I'm interested in, and that's one of them. You know what I'm saying?
Damn, I think we already got Chris's predictions for All In.
Yeah, but you just can't do that kind of shit, man.
Yeah. Right.
I think a good point that you're making, Kris, is you don't know what could happen when you engage in a situation like this. Like, kind of pulling back the curtain on my own life. Like, I've got a family member that is in jail to this day. Because he got into it wasn't anything with guns, but it was a physical altercation, and he did not set out to kill this person, but that person ended up dead because of the result of that altercation, and now he's in jail for life. And so it's like, if you're Cash Wheeler, you don't know. Like, not only do you not know what you could do to that other person, you don't know if that other person got the blicky on them too.
Exactly.
Right.
And so to me, it's, again, like, we can have jokes about this because there is an element of humor to this Cash Wheeler situation. But I think that I would hope that whatever led him to that moment, because that's the other thing too, Kris, because I could see maybe me in my 20s being that impulsive. Cash Wheeler, a grown ass man at his big age.
Right. Yeah.
Like, you too old to be doing stuff like this, Cash Wheeler. Like, I'm to the point, Kris, just in my personal life, even if I'm late to work, man, I'm like, if somebody is in a hurry, get on past me. Get on past me. Look, I will slow down, get into the other lane. You know what I'm saying? I'm too old for the bullshit, Kris. But then B, I don't need you raising my insurance rates. I don't need Flo from Progressive calling me talking about your premium that going up because you didn't got into this traffic altercation. And so for Cash Wheeler, it's like, you have to think about what you have to lose in this situation, because even though it sounds like Kris is just going to be like a slap on the wrist from AEW, if that, like, you don't know what could have happened in this situation, and you have far more to lose in this situation than that other person.
Right, and that's the thing with superstars. It's a wrestling trope. We've gotten to these debates on this show. When you are a superstar in wrestling, we'll find this out when we talk about CM Punk. There are things that you are just going to be able to do that other people can't do. I do consider Cash Wheeler a superstar. I do think he is one of those people that is valuable to the company that he works in, so much so that if either one of those FTR guys were to leave that company will not be the same company as it was with them in it.
Yeah.
But you know what I'm saying? The amount of people online that I see that are not the jokes and memes are one thing, that's fine. But the people that are like defending this crap, this isn't stuff that you should be defending, man.
Right.
It's just not. It is not worth it. No traffic incident should ever be this serious. You know, that's why we've got laws in place for this. You know, this is what you're supposed. You handle it a certain way. You go through the legal process, right? We're going through this in the country right now, right? Like these Trumpers think they deserve that the election got stolen from him, and that's fine if you want to think that, but you can't just shoot up the Capitol building and do that stuff. There's processes for these things. And that's with the Cash Wheeler thing. There's a process that you got to go through, and once you go through that process, then you handle it. But I don't even think this was just the way it was described to me. It doesn't sound like something that you even needed to call the police over. This sounds like something. Hey, someone's giving you the eye, you give them the eye back and move on.
Right.
It's not something you need to be brandishing a gun for.
Yeah. So that's our thoughts on Cash Wheeler, man. Like, and I think again, Chris, because I think something you and I have talked about on this show, and I don't want to gloss over it, is mental health, man.
Yeah.
Because that event should not have led to you pulling out the strap. Right. And so the question is, like, less what did that person do to make Cash do this, but what was Cash going through that he was like, yo, this is the solution for me to grab the gat. You know what I mean? Why was your first instinct to get the gat?
Right.
You know what I mean?
And real quick, Nate, you guys mentioned like just all the what ifs that could have happened. Like you said, what if the other driver would have also been packing?
Yeah.
Oh, and let's bring in the Nubian part of the Nubian wrestling advocates. Like, if the police would have showed up and he's standing out there with a gun and he's looking like one of us, chances are he's either going to prison like right then or there, or they dropping him. Like, so he is very, very fortunate that the least that he could be punished, like he paid a fine and he still got his job. And let's not forget, FTR just re-signed with like you putting all of that stuff in jeopardy, not to mention the fact that again you're possibly putting your life in danger.
Yeah. So like if I'm Dax, I'm looking at my guy like, hey, we need to have a talk, bro. We just got the bag. We don't need you to get rid of the bag because of something that was easily avoidable. And Kate and I talked on Collision Course 2 weeks ago about how great this team is, man.
Yeah.
And some of the, like how valuable they are to this company. So I would hate to see all of that thrown away because of rash decisions.
Right. Like they are artists in the ring. They are very good at their craft, and they don't need to be going to jail for some bullshit.
Nope.
Exactly.
It's
just, Chris, speaking of the bullshit, Ray, I have a question for you. Do you know the Muffin Man? The Muffin Man, the Muffin Man. We cannot go a month, Chris, on this Nubian Wrestling Advocates show without talking about our boy, the Muffin Man, a.k.a. Brand Brooks, a.k.a. Poppy Seed Phil, on these streets. We can't go an instant without talking about Cinnamon Roll CM Punk on these streets. I think the CM and CM Punk does stand for cinnamon muffins. I think that's an actual true fact. Check the Wikipedia. But Kris, we are once again here on a Sunday evening, live talking to the postmarks about a story involving one Philip M. Brooks, and the M does stand for muffin. So, Kris, what is the latest going on with our boy, the Muffin Man?
Okay, so I don't know the story by heart, but I just know that apparently he's been having people banned from Collision. He cut that promo on Hangman Adam Page, and I think he did end up apologizing for it. The Golden Vampire, that was last night's funny. Maybe we'll talk about that in a second. I don't know what's going on in AEW. I will say this. I will say this because I heard, I think it was somebody suggested that if this was WWE, this wouldn't be going on.
Mm-hmm.
While Way is editing, I'm gonna beg to differ. I think this is
we'll find out in 24 hours if what Kris is about to say makes it into the podcast. Shout out to Way Team.
Yeah. This is a wrestling thing, man. If you are the star in a company, you can have people removed. You can have people. You can look at John Cena. Where in the hell is Alex Riley at this point in time? Where is that brother? Where is Simon Rex? You know, like these Hogan. I think when he was in WCW, he had one of those executives pushed to the side because he didn't like something they were saying to him. You know,
right?
This is a wrestling thing, and it's always gonna be a wrestling thing, man. If Roman Reigns. There was a story he had Enzo Amore changing in the hallway.
Yep. I was just about to bring that up.
This is nothing. It doesn't matter if it's WWE, AEW, TNA, wherever. If you are the star in that company, and if you are a J-Bro or not considered a star, this is just what's going to happen. Yeah. Do I think it's fair? No. Do I think it's cool? Not really. But I'm not in the business of I keep it real when it comes to this kind of thing. The fact of the matter is CM Punk, as long as he's the star of Collision, he's gonna be doing this kind of shit.
We told y'all from the jump. This is in school suspension. This is the bad kids of AEW. So you got if you gonna be down with the bad kids, you got to be bad yourself, Kris.
Right? Yeah. This is his show. You know.
So let me ask you though, Kris, because I think you're right. They like stars in any industry. Like we've seen, like in the NBA, the NFL, Major League Baseball. Like if you are the star, you can kind of set the tone and dictate the culture of a place. But the only name that kind of stood out to me that made me scratch my head, and maybe they got personal beef, was Christopher Daniels, because it's like, shouldn't that dude get the respect?
He should be, and I don't understand this, but this also kind of makes sense on a meta level as well, because Christopher Daniels is he, a coach in AEW? When you think of athletes and coach situations, especially in the NBA,
okay,
if they want, if the coach
players only meeting
by the star, who's leaving? Who's leaving the Lakers before LeBron James? You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? If it's a coaching situation, there's only I think maybe Phil Jackson for a second, and even he wasn't. Jerry Buss wasn't dropping no Kobe bag for Phil Jackson.
Right.
They got them to work together and hug it out and stuff, but that's just, this is just a thing. And I think CM Punk, this Christopher Daniels thing, I'm trying to understand that, and I don't. But I do understand pecking orders. That's what I understand. And CM Punk is up here on the pecking order. Christopher Daniels is way down here. Like John Moxley, I don't think CM Punk would be able to get away with that kind of thing with a John Moxley, but he's going to get away with that kind of thing with someone like it's like Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns is probably not going to get away with doing that to Cody Rhodes, but he'll get away with doing that to Austin Theory. You know what I'm saying? He could
he should.
Yes, exactly. He can say your daddy isn't here anymore, and he can punk him out backstage as much as he wants to, and nothing's going to happen to him.
Yeah,
Austin Theory is expendable in that situation.
You know what this reminds me of, Ray?
Yeah.
A great movie that one of these days, like, I know, we got the Rocky Maivia picture show here on Post Wrestling, which may return before the end of the year. But I feel like there are movies that aren't wrestling related or star wrestler that we should talk about here on Post. And I don't want to step on Braden and Davies' feet over at Poison Rana where they review all kind of weird movies. But I feel like this CM Punk situation reminds me of a scene from an underrated movie called Four Brothers.
Oh yeah, love that movie.
You ever seen Four Brothers? Four Brothers stars Andre 3000, Tyrese, Marky Mark, and some other random white boy who I forget his name, but he was pretty good in the movie. Little British fella.
Jared Hudlin, is that
Jared
Hudlin.
And so they're four adopted brothers. So spoiler alert for Four Brothers. Basically, the story is their adoptive mother gets killed, and it brings all four brothers back to Detroit so they can solve the mystery of who killed their foster mom. And it stars your boy Terrence Howard out here, Iron Man, as in a rare good guy role for Terrence Howard. But
a glorified cameo.
A glorified cameo, basically. But this stuff with CM Punk reminds me of the scene in the movie where I think it's Chiwetel Ejiofor.
Love it. Victor
Sweet.
One of my favorite villains of all time.
Yes, one of the most petty villains.
Yeah, out of town shooters. You know what
I'm saying? You got in town shooters.
Yeah. Like that dude was so evil. The only way things could end for Victor Sweet was them doing what they did to him. That was the only way it could end. Because you're making the guy eat off the floor.
Yes, and so that's the I was talking about, Chris. So there's a scene in the movie where the henchman disappoints Victor Sweet. And so he makes him eat there at a restaurant. He makes him eat his food off of the floor. And then his wife tries to stand up for him. And he's like, oh, you want to stand up for your man? Get down on the floor and eat with him. And so the husband and the wife are both eating their food off the floor like dogs because Victor Sweet is at the top of the pecking order right now, right? Yeah. That's what the situation feels like.
He made Barry Chewbacca Henley's character eat at the kiddie table.
Yes.
Told the Puerto Rican dude,
I'm gonna sleep with your wife.
I need this. Yeah, I'm gonna sleep with your. Just this dude was evil, man. And I didn't even know he was the British guy from the Christmas movie Love Actually.
He's in Love Actually. He was in Doctor Strange, the first Doctor Strange.
Yeah, he's in
a good what's the movie with Denzel that I really like? Inside Man.
Inside Man.
Yeah, he's in Inside Man, and he's in another one with Denzel where he's playing is a fictionalized version of the New York mob scene. Okay. Back in the day. What's it
American
called?
Gangster?
American Gangster.
Yes,
Yep.
Frank Lucas.
Frank Lucas,
Oh man, yeah. So this whole setup about the greatness of Chewie Ejiofor and Four Brothers, Ray, was to talk about that scene with Victor Sweet and how he just punked these dudes, and they took it because they knew the pecking order. And it feels like, that's the word, punked. CM Punk is out here punking these dudes because what you gonna do? This Collision, baby. This is my show. This the bad club right here. And he runs this particular wing of the AEW Asylum. So what do you make about this whole situation about CM Punk, and how do you feel about the Muffin Man in this instance? Because I feel like both Kris and I, in a rare twist, we actually kind of team Muffin Man on this one.
Oh. I think I'm going to have to. I know you kind of was the Debbie Downer on Edge earlier. I think.
Look here, Ray. Go eat at the kiddie table, man.
You're going to drop me off again.
No, I do think all perspectives on this one is welcome, because we got to figure this shit out, because it's going to spontaneously combust if we don't, if TK doesn't, so go ahead, man.
Well, real quick, I wanted to put my youngest in charge hat on and thank Brian Mack for the $9.99 super chat. Thank you. He didn't have a comment following that, but thank you, Brian. Appreciate you. One thing,
and yes, we see you, T. Anthony. A Four Brothers reference in 2023 is wild, but y'all need to check that movie out, man, if you haven't seen it.
Yeah, it's good for maybe the wrong reasons. I love that movie. I've seen that movie like so many times. Sofia Vergara, man. She could get it any day of the week.
I think that was pre Modern Family, so that was like right before she kind of blew up.
That was like that's pre Modern. That might even be pre her Tyler Perry movies and stuff too.
Yeah, you're right.
So. But I did want to touch on real quick, and Ron Jones rather. He kind of alluded to it. Like, Christopher Daniels isn't just a coach there. He's the VP of talent relations. So it's like Kris was saying about Hulk Hogan and an executive. This guy's in an executive role, and all of a sudden, because I think it was mentioned before that because Ace Steel wasn't allowed to attend tapings, he in turn said, well, Christopher Daniels, who got involved with trying to break up the break up the brawl, he was like, oh, well, he can't come either. So I think it was like a tit for tat thing.
Got you.
My whole thing, and this is where, and I did a quick clip on this on my Instagram at Mondo Dondo 1 only.
Plug.
I just feel like for somebody, first off, for someone who continues to say, oh, well, I only apologize for the fact that the fans are softer than their favorite wrestlers, yet you turn around and be like, oh, you can't come because you call me soft. You're being such a hypocrite, bro. Not only are you being a hypocrite, but you're pretty much being anti what got you into the business. You're supposed to be anti-establishment. You're supposed to be revolutionary. You're supposed to be the guy who, oh, well, I'm going to stand up for what I believe in, and I don't care about the money. I don't care about the fame. I'm going to speak out. I got this microphone. This microphone is power. And now, kind of harkening back to a promo that he gave John Cena back when he was holding the championship, now you have become the thing you hate, CM Punk. You've become the guy who now calling yourself One Bill Phil, who only relaxes back on your merchandise sales, only cares about the money that you're bringing in, only cares about the money that you're getting paid. So now you've become what you hate, CM Punk. You're no longer a revolutionary. You're no longer a cult leader. You're just becoming a part of the establishment just like everybody else. And that was the only appeal that was the major appeal that he had. So now everybody in the world except for Chicago hates you pretty much because
I'm going to kick back on that a little bit.
Okay.
A little bit. I don't think CM Punk was ever that guy. If you ever listened to his promos, everything was always about himself. He was mad that he didn't get to main event WrestleMania. He wasn't mad that he was mad that the Miz main event at WrestleMania. He was mad that he didn't get to main event WrestleMania. He wanted ice cream bars. He wanted to be the guy to bring those in. He was mad that he had to job to The Rock. He was mad at all the things that had to him do with him directly. I think a lot of us kind of maybe heard him, but we weren't really listening to him. This CM Punk this guy has been this selfish dude from the beginning. Even
well, I think the difference, Chris, is maybe not so much in the message or the messenger, but the audience receiving it. Because when he was saying that stuff back in the day, the targets he was targeting, we were also like the fans, the audience was targeting those people because they're like, yeah, you holding this dude down. Yeah, things need to get better. Yeah, more people need opportunities. But he was never saying we need the opportunities. He was saying I need the opportunities. And so I think the difference now, Chris, is he's older. And so that message comes across less, I'm a young revolutionary, and more, I'm an old cranking man who needs to eat these brand muffins to stay regular. And then the other part of it, Chris, is the people that he's going against are people that the audience like is a fan of, whether you're talking about the Elite or somebody like Christopher Daniels, who gets a lot of respect from the audience. And so it's like the targets are different. And so the way the message is received, Chris, I think is a little bit different.
Right. And I'm also like I'm not mad at anybody that's mad at CM Punk, but there is one guy who we haven't talked about since we started this thing, who owns the fucking company, that if he had a problem with the way this stuff was going down, he's the one that needs to change it. Tony Khan, I'm saying this directly to you.
Oh, here we go. Clear the lane. Clear the lane, Ray.
I know that I know that you hear this stuff every once in a while.
ISO on Chris.
I'm a fan, Tony Khan. I'm kind of getting tired of your bullshit. I don't even want to go to an AEW press conference anymore. Just so you could tell me I can't ask you about CM Punk, or I can't ask you a question about the Elite, or anybody on press row can't ask you questions that need to be asked. What are these press conferences? What the fuck are they? They make no sense to me anymore. Like this kind of stuff is like really kind of messing with and I'm not going to speak for everybody. It's messing with my goddamn enjoyment of the program, because it's like every other week some crap like this is coming out.
But wait till he signs Edge, though, Chris. Wait till he signs Edge, player.
Yeah, like nobody wants to be transparent about anything. You know what I'm saying? And CM Punk is getting blamed, and the people that are on CM Punk's side want to blame the Elite guys. All this stuff. There's one person to blame.
Who's the boss?
One person, and that is Tony Khan. Tony Khan is responsible for all of this. You know, even back in WWE, the Wrestlers Court days, that wasn't Undertaker's fault. That wasn't whoever else was doing that sham bullshit court. I'm the judge. Buy me Jack Daniels. You're guilty. Whatever. That was Vince McMahon, because he could stop that anytime he wanted to stop it. Tony Khan could stop that anytime he wants to stop it. If he this is the unfortunate thing about this stuff, and again, I understand the Punk fans, I understand the Punk antagonists, I understand the Elite fans, the Elite antagonists. This is stuff that should have been nipped in the bud long time ago by one person, and they're not going to do it. So this is just going to be a revolving debate that because we have this conversation, like you said, Nate, monthly, and it never changes. We're always the ones that hey, we understand the Punk side of the argument, right? We understand the Elite, but we understand the reality of Punk's power in this situation. Yeah, and we understand that as a talent, nobody in wrestling is out for the greater good of wrestling. They just aren't.
Yeah, and I think You talked about it before we turned on the mics, Kris. I want to get Ray's thoughts too. But in addition to that story, like Punk also went off on Hangman. Like Hangman's still catching strays on this street, and so to me, I think, and we talked about it a few months ago with Andrew. Like there was a point where I was like, you know what? If they're clever, they can use this, right?
Yeah,
they can use this real life animosity, much like Edge when he was Dirty Mac and Lita. They can use this real life animosity, Ray, and turn it into a great storyline that catapults everybody. But I do not think that they're at the point where they can do that now because it's too real. And I think to Chris's point, it's too real because Tony Khan has allowed it to get too real with these.
And again, it's not even really leading up to, like, I could see if you were leading up to something with Punk and the Elite, and then he's doing these bars, and it's quite convenient every time he's talking behind Hangman's back. Hangman is nowhere to be found. It's kind of odd. It's kind of convenient that that's happening. And again, it speaks to the fact that, like you said, Nate, this guy, what is he, mid-40s, late 40s? This dude is a cranky old man.
So he's about my age, like maybe older, maybe like a year younger, but like I just had a birthday, so me and CM Punk, we kind of the same age bracket, Ray, but I'm not out here at the job eating muffins and shitting on the kids, man. Let the kids live, Punk.
You building up the future.
But to that point though, Ray, I think I think that's why Kris and I can see both sides, because being around the age of Phil Brooks, I get it. Right, like I get some of the frustrations, but I also is like, there's better ways that you can be handling this. But again, if there's no impetus by management to say, "Hey, Phil, we understand, big guy. We just need to change some things." They gave him his own damn show, Ray.
Right.
Like Collision is the CM Punk show, so like there's no impetus for Punk to change, man.
Right, and to be honest with you, it's not like he's doing this to every young guy on the roster.
There's a specific group of younger guys.
There are young guys that he likes on the roster that are getting pushed. Ricky Starks being one of them.
Yep.
Powerhouse Hobbs being one of them. Miro being one of them. There are people that CM Punk likes who have noticeably been elevated since Punk's arrival. So it wouldn't be honest if we're saying that nobody is benefiting from the rub of CM Punk. I do think they've made some missteps with Starks, but he's still in a better situation than he was a year ago. Who is this guy? That's
Brian Mack, Bernie Mac's cousin.
Oh, what's he saying? Is paying.
Basically, like Tony Khan is paying these dudes millions of dollars, but can't get them to act like grown men, act like professionals.
Right. And I mean, this again, we can all say, oh, this is just a Tony Khan problem. This is a wrestling industry thing. It's and again, I don't think it's ever gonna change. I think when you are the top guy in the company, if you're not noticeably the next guy in line, this is how the treatment is going to be. Because there have been people that Vince McMahon has put the kibosh on. They tried to bury John Cena in the beginning. Vince McMahon was like, nah, we actually see something in Cena. We're going to push him. Shawn Michaels and Triple H, they tried to do the same thing to The Rock. And Vince McMahon was like, nah, I think The Rock is a guy that we
everybody that watched Young Rock season 3 knows about that.
I think that will if CM Punk ever tried to do that with a guy that Tony Khan actually sees as the next person.
He ain't doing that to Darby Allin.
But yeah, that's the thing. I don't see CM Punk doing that to someone that's next in line. I just don't see him doing that. Like he loves fucking Jade Cargill. You know what I'm saying? He's like, he loves the people that he loves.
The Acclaimed.
Yeah, the Acclaimed. He takes care of those people. And then the people that he doesn't like, this is the treatment that they get. I'm not saying it's a good thing or a bad thing. All I'm saying is it's a thing. This is just what goes on there.
So go into another movie reference, Ray, to kind of wrap things up on the Muffin Man before we get to our official all-in preview. You know, I started this CM Punk topic off by going to the Four Brothers movie analogy, Ray. So I'll end my thoughts on Punk with another movie analogy. At this point, and I love Brian's comment about, you know, if Tony could get these dudes to work together, they could make some money off of this, man, which is the end of the day. That's what it's all about in this business. But I think that this CM Punk stuff reminds me of a scene from a movie starring O'Shea Jackson Jr.'s father, Ice Cube. And it was a little movie called Fist Fight. And Ray, there was a scene in the movie Fist Fight where you got this little girl, this little cute, adorable girl who's been bullied this whole time in school. And she goes to a talent show, Chris, and she got a musical number prepared at the talent show. And her bully, Trisha, is sitting in the front row. And she goes and proceeds to say, I don't fuck with you. You little stupid ass bitch, I ain't fucking with you.
Yeah.
You little dumb ass bitch, I ain't fucking with you. Somebody's gonna clip this and be like, this is the most curse words Nate's ever elicited on a podcast in the history of Nate podcasting. And again, it's been a long week, fellas. But I think that's kind of where we're at now, Ray, with the Elite and Punk, in that it has gone too far. I mean, you can never say never in professional wrestling, but I think it has gone too far, too real, too personal for these dudes to make money, which at the end of the day is what all of them should be doing. Like, yo, we could be making money off of this. We could be increasing our ratings off of this. We could be bringing new people and new viewers in off of this, but we can't do it because we don't fuck with each other like that.
Yeah.
Damn! I done got Ray. I done got Rookie Ray shook on these streets. He ain't even have a response for that, Chris.
Yeah. I'm waiting. I still think it's gonna happen. I think this is just too. You can't avoid the wrestling media asking you these questions forever. You're gonna have to deal with this. You are. You're gonna have to deal with this transparently and open, because it's open and everybody knows what's going on, man. It's at this point, it's just stupid to try to pretend that everything is normal and peaches and cream and all that stuff. It's not. You know, there is a problem in that company. I wrote about this before it became this public. I wrote about toxic positivity in AEW because I saw it coming from a mile away. And I think anybody who watches the show regularly and listen to Tony Khan on these wrestling podcasts and stuff, you know, we saw this thing happening. And again, when the next time the wrestling media goes to England or Chicago and people ask and people aren't allowed to ask about this stuff, I'm asking the wrestling media, why are we still even going to this shit? If we're going to this and not able to ask the questions that need to be asked. That's all I'm saying, you know?
Yep. And so that concludes our monthly installment of Do You Know the Muffin Man, Ray Williams.
Yeah, and he'll probably be up again next month.
I think Ray might be muted.
Are you muted? Yeah, you're muted, Ray.
There you go. Sorry. Yeah. I mean, it's hard to get good reception at the kiddie table where we sent Ray at the beginning of the segment. But Ray, we are going to end this month's edition of the Nubian Wrestling Advocates by giving our preview of All In, coming from Wembley Stadium in London. So I'll give you time to pull up the card that we have as it is currently constituted. But again, if anybody wants to chime in with their thoughts on CM Punk or on Edge or on Cash Wheeler or on All In, hit us up in the chat. And remember, Super Chats get to cut the line. They get to jump to the front of the line. But Ray, we are now going into our preview of All In, which is now an official AEW pay-per-view. You know, All In was the event that kickstarted this whole All Elite Wrestling thing back in the day, where I always like to use the story, Chris, of the Scorpion and the Frog, where Ring of Honor was the frog going across the water. And AEW was like, hey, man, you mind give me a lift across the water? And the frog is like, hey, but you a scorpion, baby. You going to sting me. I'm going to die. And then AEW is like, I would never do that, frog. We friends here. Let's just get across the river. Let's be all in together. And then as soon as they got to the riverbank, bam, AEW stung the frog, and ROH became bloated and died on the riverbanks, and then they were brought back to life, and Tony Khan bought them. End of story. So we go from that, Chris. That All In, which did Downstate do the theme song? That terrible theme song.
I think so. I was at that event, man.
Okay, yeah, with Cody and Aldis. That was a bang. Cody and Aldis on that show.
Yeah, it was like I knew something was up when I was sitting at home Sunday watching a Jacksonville Jaguars football game, and they showed the press box. And Cody Rhodes was sitting in the press box. And this was Cody Rhodes was doing stuff on the indies. He was the last person I expect seeing sitting in the press box. I was like, what the fuck is Cody Rhodes doing in a press box?
Devontae Ben making moves, Chris.
at the Jaguars game. And like you said, it was the Soul Scorpion and the Frog thing, right? Going back to Aesop's fables on these cats, man. It was it was. Yeah,
ROH never really recovered, and then years later was bought by Tony Khan, and so again that leads us to All In. We don't know if they're going to use the Downstate song again. Like I only know 2 Downstate songs. Yeah. One of them is Kingdom, which is amazing. The other one is the All In song, which is terrible. So they got like a 500 average for me. But Ray, you've got the card pulled up, so let's go through and we can all give our thoughts on the build and I give our predictions. I know Chris has already kind of spilled the beans, like he ain't really feeling this, but let's talk about the matches, and maybe by the end of it, Chris will be a little bit more hyped for this show.
All right. Well, real quick sidebar: Downstate has some bangers that you probably not aware of, but be looking out. They got some good. Glorious. They did Glorious, or is that? Is that
you talking about Bobby Roode Glorious?
No, I thought that was
that was the FTO. I'm thinking about the
CFO.
CFOs. But they did do Here to Show the World and all the Dolph Ziggler's themes, I believe. And then I think they did a couple of them. Okay, let's neither here nor there.
They all right.
Yeah.
Let's neither here nor there. Let's go ahead.
Beat the Kingdom.
Kingdom is who I'll give them credit for that.
That's true. That's true. Well, let's go ahead. Let's start with the presumably first match that's not even going to be on the pay-per-view card.
Oh, wow. T. Anthony said, hold on, Ray. T. Anthony said Downstate did Zack Ryder's radio song.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, that was a banger.
Okay. I stand corrected.
Radio,
that was kind of hot back in the day.
Yeah, that was cool.
All right, I didn't want to go off into a whole Downstate tangent, but
I feel like unlike CM Punk and the Elite, we can admit when we're wrong on this show, Ray. So I had to be accountable for my words and show Downstate the proper respect.
No worries. All right, let's go ahead and start off with the match that presumably is going to be on the 0 hour card. We don't know if it's going to be on YouTube or if they're going to have it on another platform, but presumably on YouTube for free. Get there 12 p.m. where you could see the Aussie Open defend their ROH World Tag Team Championships against MJF and Adam Cole, baby.
So, Chris, is this all just a big setup for what is to come later on in the night? Like is this a legit tag team title match that we're going to be watching, or is this all just background for the drama that will unfold later at Wembley?
I have no idea. I do not care about this match. I am not an MJF fan at all. I do like Adam Cole, baby. But I understand. Look, it's not about me. This is white boy goofy shit that I am not interested in. It doesn't.
You're not interested in the Caucasian shenanigans? I'm trying to think of an alliterative word. Caucasian craziness? Caucasian kookiness.
This kind of bromance frat boy shit.
The Anglo antics?
Yeah, it's not my bag. It is not for me. But saying that, I understand that it's
European
for somebody.
hijinks.
Yeah, it's for somebody. So I'm gonna give it a chance, but this does nothing for me. You know what I'm saying? Like everything, like with wrestling, it's like there's something always culturally there that is like, even if it's all white boys doing white boy goofy shit, it's like, that's entertaining, so I like it. Like we were
like
talking
Edge
about
and Christian.
Edge, we were talking about Edge and Christian earlier. That stuff was always funny. You didn't have to be a white dude to like that stuff. This crap with Cole and MJF, show me the black folks that love this stuff and
Sage Steel.
And then come and talk Sage Steel. And then come talk to me and tell me why it's good. I do not like this shit. I don't like it at all.
Say it with your chest, Chris.
With that said, I do think they'll have a good match.
You think we get a title switch?
Yeah, like my whole thing with MJF is there's certain wrestlers that where you cross the line so much for me that me cheering you is just I can't just do that with MJF. You know what I'm saying? Like this guy has been so evil and diabolical. And from a character standpoint, I think MJF is a nice guy. He was cool to people when I went to All In back in the day. So I'm not talking about him as a person.
I didn't like the and Kate and I talked about this on Collision. I didn't like the shots he took at Lufisto the other week. But other than that, I think he's been a decent human being when he's not in character.
Right. Yeah. I think that's the thing with that, and it's just one of those and the thing with doing racist stuff in wrestling, you have to be very careful with that because there will be some towns that you go to where they will cheer the racist shit. I remember back in the day going to shows and people chanting "Sean is gay" loudly, saying that kind of stuff. And doing that, and MJF just crosses that line for me. All that again, if you love that stuff, that's your thing. I don't like it. I do think that the match is going to be good with Aussie Open, and I'm guessing that the bros they're going to win that shit. And people will like it, and that's what matters. Is this going to be the thing that gets everybody interested in AEW? I just don't see it like that.
Yeah.
But people like this shit. I haven't listened to our boy SP3 and them because I don't know what they think about it. It's not for me. It ain't for me.
Not for me, Kris Ealy.
Yeah.
I think, Ray, I think a lot of this card will be helped by just the atmosphere.
Yes, it will.
Of being in Wembley, and that goes the same for this match. That's going to be on the pre-show because, on paper, it doesn't do a whole lot for me. I haven't really been vibing with the Cole MJF frenemy kind of thing they've been doing. But I think that crowd is going to be electric, especially at the beginning of the show. I don't know what they do with the title. Like it feels almost like the title is secondary in this match. So I'm going to say Aussie Open retains, and I'm going to say the tomfoolery and the shenanigans, the colonizer kookiness, if you will. I got to workshop this. I got to workshop a slogan that we could put on a T-shirt for whenever AEW engages in what Chris has called white boy goofiness. We need to workshop that. Get some merch out here on these streets. But Ray, what do you think about this opening match?
Well, I'm fully in agreement as far as with.
Ray, it's like Chris. I happen to like white boy goofiness.
The bro buffoonery.
The bro buffoonery. There you go, Ray. Buffoonery. There you go, Ray.
That's the phrase. That's the phrase.
The buffoonery.
Because the thing is when I say white boy goofiness, it makes it sound like I'm not a fan of white boy goofiness. I like Animal House. I like American Pie.
Yeah.
I like Van Wilder.
Yep.
I like all that.
Deadpool.
Stuff. Yeah, Deadpool was cool. This shit is just, it misses me all the way. Maybe if you threw a brother in it, maybe I could be attached.
Like just throw Shotty Lee Johnson into the mix.
Throw Shotty Lee in it. Throw somebody in this thing.
So the brofoonery is what Kris cannot abide by.
Right. I mean, has there been anything in wrestling as white and goofy as this in the history of wrestling? This is a serious question. If you could, I can't think of one thing because
what's the dumbest, whitest, goofiest angle? Is that what you're saying?
I'm asking because this is it. I'm going back to like way back in the day. I'm talking about Hogan and Orndorff. That wasn't white and goofy in my opinion. I'm talking about like I'm going way back, man. I'm talking.
What about the Spirit Squad?
The Spirit Squad, it was, but it wasn't a main event thing. You know what I'm saying? I can deal with that stuff in the mid card. When you're in the main event,
the main event profoonery is what we're talking about.
Yeah. Like because this is just like I'm supposed to be captivated by this. I do think this is for an audience because I listen to the shows.
Anthony said this could be Lee Moriarty's time to shine with these guys.
Yeah, for real, man. Like, throw something in this for other people. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got to, because this is not relatable to anybody in the hood. And I'm speaking for everybody in the hood until you show me somebody in the hood.
And I think, Kris, like you can have like quote unquote white boy goofiness and it still resonate to other cultures. Like a lot of John Cena stuff is white boy goofiness. It worked.
Yeah.
Yes, it's a lot of stuff like that. That's
even Edge and Christian.
Edge and Christian we talked about. Yep.
Edge and Christian, you know. There's
I'm gonna tell you, like they're not at that level yet, but I've completely turned around on these two, Chad Gable and Otis.
Chad Gable and Otis.
This dude is kind of funny.
I like Bullet Club Gold. I think I think they kind of like appeal to me more than this shit is goofy, fucking goofy, man. This is ridiculously so unbelievably goofy, man.
The brofoonery.
It's the brofoonery. All right. I'm sorry, Ray.
Did you ever give your prediction, Ray?
No, that's but while I agree on that hand, like all the skits have been just completely missing the mark with me. But where they grab me is with the dramatic stuff when they're doing promos in the ring with one another. And when they had that AEW tag title match on Collision where MJF, he's second guessing himself and he's like, I'm letting the team down. And it's like, even though they've had these goofy moments, there's a way like, I'm not even really feeling the team like that. But when doggone Adam Cole, he's like, you didn't do anything wrong. But then when MJF picks up that belt like he's about to hit him, like that's making me feel something, even though I don't really care for the team, like that's making me feel something. And then he drops that belt and he's hugging. And that's why I agree on that side with Nate, where it's getting an audience, like somebody's getting attached to this. And so as far as the match goes, and this might kind of lead into my main event prediction, but I believe, and I think Nate, you said
Aussie Open.
You said Aussie Open. Kris, excuse me. Kris, you said
this brofoonery that got Ray choked up.
Yeah, I said the
MJF and Cole.
The brofoons.
The brofoons.
I'd say they're winning the match.
Okay.
That's my prediction.
So I'm gonna go ahead and break the tie, and I agree with you, Kris. I think the Brofoons, which is actually a better name than Better Than You, baby. I think Cole and MJF, they're going to go ahead and win those tag titles. And I think there might be a sprinkle of what we might see, because what I'm thinking in my head for the main event, and I'll say it once we get to that match, but I'm thinking it's not going to be like the culmination of anything, but it's going to be a slow burn or something. So, but I do think Better Than You, Baby is going to go ahead and take the titles.
Okay, so Chris and Ray going with the Brofoons. I'm going with Aussie Open. What's the next match on the agenda, Ray?
All right. Well, as the order stands, via Wikipedia, the first match on the card looks like it's going to be the Young Bucks versus FTR. And by the way, they might have to send Cash Wheeler over with a jersey from that from the football team that they got, either Tottenham or Fulton. They might have to throw a jersey on them and smuggle them into the UK. But for as it stands, it's going to be FTR versus the Young Bucks for the AEW Tag Team Championships.
So, in the words of Andre 3000, when it pertains to Mr. Wheeler, don't pull a thing out unless you plan to bang. Don't even bang unless you plan to hit something. And so, I think in this match, Chris, if it goes through, like if it goes off as planned, it's going to be incredible. Like I think the atmosphere around this match. Like I think it's going to be very hard to turn this crowd. You know, it's not going to be like what we saw in Detroit a couple weeks ago at SummerSlam, where there were points where the crowd was just like, "Nah, we good." Ronda and Shayna, we good. You know, it's not. You're not going to have that kind of atmosphere. Shoot, I think it's going to be good. The Cash Wheeler of it all, though, like the real life implications, kind of got me thinking a little bit, because before all this, I was easily going with FTR. That was going to be my pick.
Right.
But maybe, you know, in the interest of what's more reliable just at this very moment, you go with the Bucks. So I'm gonna go with the Bucks for this one. What you got, Chris?
I'm actually gonna go, and I think the Bucks should win just because of what's going on. But I think the story they're telling is FTR winning.
Okay.
Again, this is something I could sink my teeth into, right? This kind of feud where I understand the stakes. They're not having taco eating contests and shit. They're not, you know what I'm saying? Like, oh, come, let's go to this
tacos, Chris.
Let's go to the trampoline park and jump on a fucking trampoline. I'm sorry. Like, this is something that I like. This is more my steez. This is more my steez. I think I wouldn't, and I don't mind if the Bucks win, if they change a direction just because of what happened, because I do think that there's value in this thing, right? So I'm gonna go with the Young Bucks just from a sheer storyline perspective, because I think that there's a long-term story that they're telling with those two cats.
Okay. So once again, Ray from the kitty table has to be the man to break the tie. So I've got the Bucks. Chris has FTR. Who do you have, Ray, in this matchup between Generation Me and the Revival?
Well, and I like that. I like that comment below.
What does it say?
Man, the
Generation Me and the Revival
versus Generation Me.
Oh yeah.
Well, I kind of, I'm going along.
Real quick, shout out to Anthony for feeling the pain of waiting for some of the edits he might have to make in this episode.
Oh yeah, man.
Hope you time stamped it, brother.
The bros are gonna be bad at me today, man.
Yes,
it
was too much brofoonery. It got to you, Chris.
Yeah. They're gonna hate me today, man. Sorry, bros. Just let me know what I can do. I will donate to the bro fund or something.
Bro fund me.
Don't run up on Chris. He may not have a strap anymore, but he does have that folding chair on the side.
Yeah.
But dang, another tough one. And again, considering like this current circumstances, but I also feel what Chris is saying about trying to prolong that storyline, and also seeing another one of Anthony's comments about possibly the Guns winning the championship back. I don't know if it's going to be as hot if they win it off the Bucks.
Right.
Oh, it's a tough one. All right, for the sake of getting out the kiddie table, I'm going to say the Young Bucks.
Okay. Ray's back. Ray's back. He ain't got to eat at the kiddie table no more.
Yeah.
He ain't got to eat off the floor.
But yeah, I think it might be the only punishment that FDR gets is them losing the tag titles, and then they'll probably win it back in like 2 months.
Because that's kind of what I was thinking too, Chris. Like just kind of like the only real punishment they would get from this, but also again, like until this is all kind of sorted out, maybe you just put it on the Bucks for a little minute.
Yeah. I think that's the best thing to do. Just kind of let this thing kind of run its course, and I don't think that Wheeler is one of those dudes that's gonna stubbornly try to defend this shit. Yeah. I think he'll learn his lesson, and this is the first time he's ever done anything like this. So.
You know who I really feel bad for in this whole situation, Ray, besides the person that Cash brandished the gun at? Wheeler Yuta, man.
Oh yeah.
Because anytime somebody's like, because everybody's not gonna say Cash Wheeler brandished the gun. They're gonna be like either Cash or Wheeler had a gun out, and then Wheeler Yuta sitting over here like, hey dog, I had nothing to do with this player. He's living my life. What's the next match on the docket, Ray?
All right, let's go ahead and move on. Oh, we got a hot one. We got the 4-way for the AEW Women's Championship. We got Hikaru Shida, newly crowned champ, defending her championship against Toni Storm, Saraya, and Britt Baker. Saraya and Britt Baker both winning off of qualifiers that were pretty much obvious from the jump. But yes, that 4-way for the AEW Women's Championship.
Yeah, like anybody that thought Sky Blue, and we love Sky Blue, but anybody that thought Sky Blue was getting the nod in this one, Chris, over Saraya, like, come on, baby. Do you not understand how marketing and economics work?
Right. Yeah,
we go into England. Let's bring our biggest British star to this spot and see what the audience brings to the table. And I think this is going to be a hell of a match, Chris. I do have an issue that, once again, on the AEW pay-per-view, we've only got one women's match. It's like, you can't do a little bit better.
Yeah, and they throw them all in one match.
In one match, yeah.
Like, imagine if this was a black guy match, you know what I'm saying? They just throw all the black folks.
That's going to be something we can talk about when we get through with this rundown. Like, how many brothers made it to win the Wembley card? But I think this is going to be a fun match. Shida is in her second reign. I think Shida retains, but to me, the most interesting part of this, Ray, is the outcasts of it all. And again, shout out to that man, Andre 3000, and Big Boy. I feel like Big Boy doesn't get enough credit. But I feel like in this situation, the most interesting part to me is what we're seeing with Toni Storm on these shows week to week, where she's kind of going through this metamorphosis. She's doubting herself. She to quote 3 Stack, she's out here like she's starving. She's Brett Favre, trying to see if she still got it. She went through this whole Sunset Boulevard kind of thing that Kate and I talked about on Collision a couple weeks ago, and I feel like she is going to be in a position to win. Saraya is going to cost her, and then Shida will end up winning, and then that way we get Shida moving on to whatever her next challenge is going to be, and we start to get the implosion of the outcasts. And I think this match is going to be fun. Crowd's going to be hot for it. I'm going with Shida to retain, though. Chris, what you got?
I love Shida. Shida is my favorite wrestler. She has been for the last couple of years. I'm glad that she's getting a run with the belt in front of an audience. Yes. I think that she I don't love using that term deserve in wrestling because we know that doesn't mean anything. Nope. But I do think that Shida deserves this run. I think for this show, I do think Saraya's kind of gotta win because AEW needs a moment where we're talking about for decades where I'm in my 60s saying, hey, do you remember that time where Saraya and where Saraya won the world title in England and stuff like that? I do think that Saraya benefits the most from this.
Okay.
And then if you want to have her lose it again to Sheeta in a week or two, that's fine. But I do think that you kind of need to milk this Wembley crowd for a moment. So I'm going to go with Saraya.
Okay. So Kris going with Saraya. I'm going with Sheeta to retain. Let's go to this man, 10-Day Ray Williams. Ray, you can either break this tie or you can come up with a completely different answer and leave us deadlocked here. So who you got in the women's four-way for the AEW women's title?
Well, I initially thought you guys were going to be on the same page. I thought this was going to be our first unanimous decision. But, man, Kris does make some great points about Saraya. The only thing that makes me leery about Saraya is even though she is cleared to compete, we haven't seen her really competing consistently in one-on-one matches. And so is she going to be able to defend as a champion? It would be pretty cool to kind of see that dynamic between her and Toni Storm. If she does end up winning the championship with
Anthony's on a roll tonight. Ray got the longest 10-day contract ever. Must be a WWE contract that rolls over.
I got hurt. I got hurt, and then I came back. I was like, "Nah, brother, it's still running.
It's still running. You only on day 4, right?"
But yeah, it's like, although I would really like to see that. Like, I was initially in the same boat as Nate as far as seeing Sheeta defend it successfully. I don't know. Got me in another pickle. And as far as Britt, I just don't think Britt's gonna win it. I don't think. Who's that fourth? Toni. Toni just had it.
Toni can't win it because it would go against the story they're trying to tell with Toni.
That's true.
And I think, Ray, the only way you could see Britt getting it is if Hayter was ready to return, because you could set that up, but I don't think she's ready yet.
And by the way, shout out to Jamie Hayter. It's unfortunate that she got hurt and that she couldn't make it, especially like in her own country.
This would have been great for her. Yeah.
Jamie
Hayter, my second favorite Hayter of all time after Jermaine from Chicago.
Jermaine.
Real quick, for the sake of time, I don't want this to be another record-breaking episode. I'm gonna go with. I'm gonna go with Saraya. Let's go.
Okay, we're going with Saraya. Okay. All right. So yeah. As you mentioned, Ray, we're not trying to make this a record-breaking episode tonight. Let's go through the rest of the card. Kris, you mentioned before you had 2 matches that you were invested in. One I'm guessing was FTR and the Bucks.
Yeah.
And what's the other one? The main event?
I don't know if it was the main event. I think it was something else.
Okay, so let's go rapid fire until we get to the next match Kris is invested in. So what's next on the card, Ray?
Well, it may be this one that's next up.
CM Punk and Joe. CM Punk and Joe.
Yeah,
I was interested.
Yeah, that's the second. That looks like that's going to be like the co-main event. But next one in line, Darby Allin and Sting versus the Mogul Embassy, AR Fox and.
I'm surprised Kris ain't here for this one. Not only do we have this man Darby Allin, who's so crazy he might go to the top of Wembley Stadium and do a coffin dive. We got the icon, the man called Sting. Kris, he does this, he does that. He's as big as a bull and as quick as a cat. But we got Chris's favorite and a favorite here of the Nubian Wrestling Advocates, former guest Prince Nana. Christopher. Kris still paying for the embassy system. Kris still got like 3 more payments to make on the embassy system. So this match ain't got you hooked, Kris?
It does. Shout out to Nana. Like he's got so many like jobs that
and again, like real quick, because we haven't really talked about it since he kind of became all elite. Like I'm so happy for this brother, man, that he's getting this opportunity and he's killing it.
Right. Yeah. That dude is so awesome, man. I love Nana. Hopefully he can come back. I know the rules now when he's back with AEW, because when he was on the show, we were talking about you need to be working for one of the companies. You know what I'm saying? And we weren't talking about Impact or NWA. We were talking about AEW or WWE. And he is with one of the companies. So shout out to him. I'm interested in this. This has been something that I like. I definitely, this would be the third match that I'm looking forward to. I did ask Nana for a statement. He's a little shaken up, but he's gonna be fine, and he'll be in London. What was the super chat?
Yeah, you forgetting. Shout out to the T Anthony for the super chat. And again, if you want your comments to take precedent, hit that super chat button and send your thoughts. But yeah, the streak is on the line, Chris. Sting and Darby, undefeated as a team, brother.
Yeah. So because Sting never goes to England, and because this is
Stingland.
This is like, I don't know if he's gonna get a chance to do this in England again, because he might not be wrestling next year.
Much like Edge, he won't be around for the next run.
Yeah, I wouldn't be mad if Sting won the match. Sting is my dude, man.
They gonna go crazy for Sting, Chris.
Yeah. I think so. Sting has always been like, if you lived in or around Atlanta or California for even a little bit, you will understand what Sting means to wrestling in those areas, man. I'm so glad that he's still wrestling, doing things. I'm still one of those people that if him and Geriatric Undertaker, if both of them had walkers and were wrestling, I still want to see that match. There's certain matches that I just still want to see, even though the guys are broken down.
Undertaker would only take that match if it happened at Insurrection.
Yeah, well, hey, we got to get that. I want to see that, and I also want to see the other match. I want to see it would be like Ken Shamrock versus Kurt Angle. Something that like this match is my thing, and I love Sting, man. I can't go against Sting in England. This
match got us torn, man. They got Sting on one side, Nana on the other.
Yeah, I know, and I love Nana too, but I like I said, Sting is just a national treasure. And again, if you're from that era, you know what I'm talking about. Sting is I don't put up with too much Sting blasphemy. Just you know what I'm saying? I just don't do that. I'm glad he's getting this AEW run. Because he should have. This is what WWE should have did with him. His last run, that was embarrassing. That was a joke of a fucking run.
Still the greatest story to this day that Chris has told me a lot of great stories, but the one that always gets me is this brother drove home mad, fueled by anger, like didn't stop, drove from Levi Stadium back to his house, didn't make any stops along the way because of how that Sting Triple H match ended. That was the end of that year's WrestleMania for Chris.
I got a free ticket to go to that WrestleMania by one of the Law brothers at Nate and or not Nate, John and Way's meet and greet that morning. And I was just gonna go home anyway after that. I didn't go there for WrestleMania, and this one dude was like, "Yo, I got a ticket to WrestleMania. You could join us." And I went. And that place is huge. It's like the parking lot was big. I think they carted me back to the parking lot, if I'm not mistaken. But I just got out of there, beat the traffic, and it was because it's like, you know what I'm saying? You got Sting in WWE.
I just love the image of everybody like cheering for that bogus finish that they did in that match, and Chris is just walking out, just.
Yeah, it's like the one thing that was like a layup move, right? You know, The only person Sting should have lost to at a WrestleMania is The Undertaker.
Mm-hmm.
If he was wrestling anybody else, he needed to win that match. Yeah, man. So I'm like I said, I'm loving this Sting run.
Yeah.
And I know that I know this is going to lead to big things for the Embassy brothers, man. They are doing great things at the moment. I hope Nana, I hope you remember us folks.
Remember the little people along the
way.
Yeah.
Not saying that we helped you get anywhere. But,
I mean, he can't forget Chris because Chris still pays him monthly.
Oh yeah.
He still got like 3 payments left on the Nana system, so he can't forget you, Chris.
Right? Yeah. Like I bought a couple products off of my dude Nana. You know what I'm saying?
I love that brother's always hustling, man.
Right. Yeah. And the credit stuff I bought for him actually like came out, helped me out in a big way because I had a account that had like $500 on it. That I didn't even know I had. It was like stash or something I bought from that brother, and that came out in a pinch, you know. So shout out to Nana, man.
This man Nana out here saving people on the low.
Yeah. Hey Ray, you gotta clip this because I'll send it out to him. Hopefully he can get some of those embassy guys to
shout out to the good brother Prince Nana. But yeah, I'm like Chris. Like as much as we love Nana and what the embassy is doing right now, I think like at some point on this show, you just have to kind of give the people the feel good, and the feel good for this crowd is going to be seeing this 60-year-old dude Ray doing what he does. And him and his illegitimate son Darby winning this match, and so like I much like Chris, I'm a big fan of this man Steve Borden on these streets, the Reverend. We feel about Sting the way you feel about this man Adam Copeland, Ray. Like this brother been doing it for a minute. The WWE kind of did him dirty when they finally did bring him in, and to see him have this run in a company that loves him, because I was going to say respect Ray, but I think the WWE respected Sting. They just didn't love Sting and appreciate what that brother brought to the table. And I think there's a difference between respect and appreciation. I think AEW appreciates Sting, and this last run of his career has been pretty fun to watch, and it's sad that we're on the we on the home stretch because he said he ain't going to be wrestling after this year. But I think Sting and Darby win, and I'm here for it, man. So we got 2 for Team Sting and Darby. What you got, Ray? You gonna make this a clean sweep, brother?
I think we're finally all in agreement about something.
We did it.
Although I was kind of going back and forth because keep in mind, Darby does have a match in the following week's pay-per-view for the TNT Championship against Luchasaurus. So I was kind of thinking like, how are these different stories are going to tie into it? But I'm in total agreement. I think Darby and Sting are going to go ahead and take this one. And then I think that Swerve is possibly going to cost him a shot at the championship the following week. But with all that said, Sting, and it's been alluded in our comment section with Anthony and Ron, please, brother, don't jump from too far, brother. We need all the help we can get.
He going to do it.
Oh, Lord.
He gonna do it. Look, Sting
from the top of the stadium.
Sting is like Sam Jackson in Jungle Fever, like Gator looking at Mama's TV. When Sting gonna be looking at that ladder, and Darby's like, "Yeah, you ain't got to do this, OG." He's like, "You know I do it. You know I do it." Like we can stay here talk about this. Like I think this is going to be a fun match for the people. We could talk about this for a minute, but we do need to keep it moving. So what's next on the agenda, Ray? And let's quick hit them until we get to another match that Chris can sink his teeth into.
All right. Well, we got our Stadium Stampede match. We got the Golden Elite, Kota Ibushi, Kenny Omega, and Hangman Adam Page versus Konosuke Takeshita and Bullet Club. I'm sorry. That's not. Is that the? No, that's not going to be the Stadium Stampede, but this is going to be a 6-man match. Golden Elite, Kota Ibushi, Kenny Omega, Hangman Page versus Konosuke Takeshita and Bullet Club Gold, Juice Robinson, and Jay White.
Yeah, I think this is going to be another fun match. I know some people were disappointed, and Way and Kate talked about this on Collision Course yesterday, and they wanted a either a Kenny singles match or Kenny versus Ospreay, and those would be great. Those would be awesome. But I think this is going to be a fun match, man.
Yeah, I do too.
I think when you look at this show, this is kind of a show that is less about the storylines and more about the spectacle, more about we're doing this in this setting. And I think every match is going to benefit from the setting. I think this is going to be a fun match. I think my predictions have been a little too face heavy. So I think I'm going to go with Takeshita and Bullet Club Gold just to mix things up a bit. Chris, what you got?
I'm inclined to go with the same thing. First of all, I actually am one of the people that loved what the story with Jericho and Callis. Everyone hates it. Before I've seen, not everyone, but most people do. I think that Callis is the kind of jackass that would do something like he did, just the character version of it, right? Where he's so convinced that Jericho's not going to join him, so he just does this dumb preemptive strike.
Right, and it's the same thing that Jericho would do if he was in Callis' spot.
Exactly. These two are the same kind of assholes, so I liked it. I thought it was cool. But yeah, I think the Hills win this because you do have to, and I think Callis is just one of those people that gets heel heat because Callis is a good heel. I think a lot of wrestling heels at the moment, they just kind of benefit from the situation that they're in. I think Callis is a professional that knows how to get people to just hate his ass because his character is
he got people to hate Kenny Omega, which was not the easiest thing in the world to do.
Right, exactly. So I think Takeshita.
I mean, except for WH Park, like that was a very easy thing for WH Park to hate Kenny Omega.
Shout out to WH, but yeah, that's true. Yeah, so I'm going with the Hills in this one, and I think it just to establish this Don Callis family. Mix it up a little bit, man. Like, I think anytime you got a minority in your faction is always gonna draw me in. You know what I'm saying? It's like when it's just not like this lily white thing that I'm saying. I like it. And Bad News, yeah, that's true. But that's why I like them too. But I like Bad News Brown, Bad News Allen being like the catalyst for this whole a jump off point for this, man. If you haven't watched any of Bad News Brown's like shoot interviews from the past, he used to have a ton of them online, but now he's only got a couple of them on YouTube. Watch those. He passed away in 2007. That guy was Tom Zink, RIP to him too.
The Z-Man.
There are a few guys from like the early 2000s that they just did the greatest shoot interviews ever, man. And just listen to Bad News. And I like that his memory is kind of being kept alive in this thing, man. And
he's a legitimate badass.
The catalyst for, you could argue he's the template for Stone Cold Steve Austin, right? Where he just didn't have black tights, black boots, didn't have any friends, turned on everybody, turned on the heels, turned on the faces. This is what that guy did.
Bad News Brown was so underrated, Chris.
So underrated. Won the Olympics, third place in judo. He should have won first place. That's a story in and of itself. But yeah, the dude is just such a badass, and I'm glad that Callis and Jericho and those cats. And we don't always say the greatest things about Jericho, but it's
the locker room leader that he is.
In this instance, I'll give dude his due. And yeah, man, it's just great stuff. I don't know if his wife Helen is still alive. If she's still alive, if she could like come and do something, that'd be like smack callous in the face saying bad news would be ashamed of you or something.
I like it. I like it.
Just something, man.
Yep.
But this has been great, and I think he's got some kids. That
I was gonna say if Helen's no longer with us, maybe kids or something like that.
Yeah. I'm here for this, man. I'm here for it. This when you talk about this card, it really does get you like excited for. I'm still worried about the Chicago card.
See, Chris was over there hating, eating his muffins, and we'd have turned him around, Ray.
But when you talk about this is going to be exciting, man.
Yeah, and I'm telling you, Chris, like that crowd is going to add so much to these matches.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, they are. They're
going to make I think it's a good card, but I think it's going to make this card just feel special.
Right? Is our boy Bano going to be there? Is our whole?
I think Stephanie and Beno are going to be there.
Stephanie Chase.
Shout out to Stephanie Chase,
our
Beno.
Homies, Alex McCarthy, the homeboy.
Martin Bushby. Did you get a ticket, Martin Bushby?
I want the homies there, man. Shoot, and I promise you, the
British Wrestling Experience. Stand up.
Next year, the issue that I have is I have to pay $29,000 next year for stem cell therapy in Colombia. But I will try to join y'all in England next year. My wife met Stephanie Chase and Bano and those people. I love
Stephanie Chase, also a Big Sting fan. So she good.
Yeah. Stephanie Chase is the shit. She knows her shit. She knows her music.
And puts up with a lot of crap from some of these knuckleheads online.
Right? Yeah. That's
as many of our sisters do in this space.
Right, yeah. She's welcome to the cookout anytime. Definitely welcome to my cookout, yeah.
Absolutely. Bringing blood pudding, whatever it is. Now I'm just dealing with stereotypes and tropes, people. I don't know what Stephanie eats and Martin Bushby. But Ray, who's gonna eat in this matchup? Both Chris and I have gone for the heels. Who you going with in this matchup?
Well, I think we're looking at another clean sweep, boys.
It's like we all showed up in the same Honda. Ray Williams, we on one accord, brother.
Yeah. But I was kind of leaning towards the Golden Elite, but I just think with you guys explaining your reasonings for Bullet Club Gold and for Takeshita to take it, I just feel like there's so much more storyline with the heels going over. Not to mention the fact that slowly but surely, Bullet Club Gold and the Guns are getting over. There was a social media content creator, pro wrestling content creator named Heaven Rain. She was actually making the argument that although CM Punk might be the star in name of Collision, like Bullet Club Gold are becoming like the actual stars of that show and breakout stars of that show.
Don't let Phil Brooks hear that.
No, I think Phil probably sees the same thing. I'm gonna defend Phil in that regard. I think those guys are more his steez than the
elite.
The elite guys, yeah.
So with that in mind, and also looking at all the storylines that you can kind of still go out, you can have Will Ospreay interfere with Kenny Omega, cost him, or maybe have him run to the back, and now it's 3-on-2 with Ibushi and Hangman Page trying to defend each other. And then you got the whole, all right, is Omega really with Page, or is he with his old Golden Lovers guy? Like, there's so many ways you can kind of turn that around.
I do love how they framed it. Like Kenny is in this spot, so he gonna get the two best partners that he ever rolled with. Like that's good storytelling.
And he's literally in the middle of everything.
Yeah. So it's a sweep. We got a sweep on this one. What's next, Ray? It's a long ass card. Let's keep it real. I think it's gonna be a fun show, Chris. It's gonna be a long ass show.
Yeah, but it's gonna be for me, it's gonna be start out like at 9 a.m.
Yeah.
And I'll be done with this shit by 4
2 in the afternoon.
Maybe. Yeah, something too, maybe, So and
how
y'all,
long do you think the show is going? I'll put the over under at 3 hours and 45 minutes. So we going over or under that, Ray?
Go ahead, Ray.
Man, I'm thinking I'm thinking a little over.
I'm thinking over too. What you got, Chris?
I'm thinking over. I just TK can't help himself.
He can't help himself, dog.
And I think if you're an American,
what's the team he owns?
It's either Fulham or Tottenham.
There's gonna be some Fulham shenanigans in this.
It's Fulham.
I think it's Fulham. Yeah,
like there'll be like a 15-minute segment where the football team just comes out for no damn reason.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It'll be interesting, man. I think
British brofoonery.
Right. Yeah, I think I think this card has something for everybody on it.
Yes.
If you like the brofoons, that's what you're gonna look. If you're not a fan of that stuff, there's other stuff on here for you to watch. You know.
So what are we watching next, Ray?
All right. Well, quick check. Yes, Fulham FC.
Okay.
So now I jumped the gun earlier, but now we're getting into the Stadium Stampede, man.
Easy there, Cash Wheeler.
We got Eddie Kingston, Orange Cassidy, the best friends with Chuck Taylor and Trent Beretta, and the Lucha Brothers versus the Blackpool Combat Club, John Moxley, Claudio Castagnoli, Wheeler Yuta, and 2 unannounced partners. So we could speculate on who the partner is going to be and who's going to win the match.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a wild, crazy affair. Lots of clubbering going on, Chris, if you will. Yeah. But I think it's going to be fun. Again, the atmosphere is going to add a lot to this. I just want to see Eddie Kingston coming off of the G1 in this scenario. I think, that crowd is going to eat Eddie Kingston up. They're going to love it. It's going to be fun. It's a random-ass team, though, with Eddie Kingston, the best friends, and the Lucha Bros. It's just a random team, but I think it's going to be a fun match. Let me go with – I'm going to go with the BCC just because this feels like their kind of thing, right? Like they've already won a couple of these, I want to say. Give me the BCC. In terms of who's their partners, that's an interesting question. But not even knowing that, I'm gonna go with Blackpool Combat Club. Chris, who you got?
The BCC have the mystery partners, right?
Yeah,
that's correct.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to.
It's gonna be Edge,
and I think the mystery partners are gonna be the AEW version of LAX.
Santana and Ortiz.
Yeah. Because I think they made up and stuff. So if that happens,
that's a team I wish would have gotten more because they're so good, man.
Right. I think the Jericho stuff with them worked out in the beginning. But like as it went on, it started.
They just kind of got forgotten.
Yeah. It's kind of hampered him. And
is Pac doing anything on this card? I forget.
He's injured, right?
Oh, damn. Because I think, Pac could have been a good little fit in this.
Yeah.
Keep in mind that Pac turned on them when they had the Blood and Guts match. So that's why Claudio Castagnoli, I'm messing up everybody's name. Claudio, he had a one-on-one match with Pac. And
you're right.
In storyline, he's the one that injured Pac. So
okay. So who you think the mystery partner is going to be, Ray?
I'm really digging the Proud and Powerful prediction. I really like that. I'm really thinking how much time is Brian Danielson going to be out? Is he ready?
Yeah.
Was the break as clear or could it be patched up so that it's like a 5-on-5 match, so they could hide him pretty well.
Yeah.
But
like who's a free agent that's like not Edge? Who else is a free who else is a free agent?
EC3 on these streets.
Oh, okay.
Control that narrative, player.
Yeah. I was watching that full on I think it was the 5 with Brodus Clay. The less said about those two.
The less said about those two jabronis, the better.
Well, I'll go ahead again. We're gonna go 3 in a row, 3-peat. I'm with you guys, BCC.
BCC, yep. Okay. What we got next, Ray?
All right, we're getting into the thick of it now. So we got Will Ospreay versus the aforementioned leader of the locker room, Chris Jericho.
Give me Ospreay. Like, I'm not even going to take time to deliberate this, Ray. Give me Ospreay. A, because it's the right booking decision, but B, I think we're going to get some Calla shenanigans.
Right. You could get away with Jericho winning this because the English people do love him out there. But I think Ospreay is the guy to win this match. And Jericho is one of those people that's, especially lately, it's been hit or miss. Again, I'm one of the few people that love that thing that happened with him and Callis the other day on Dynamite, but I understand other people don't like that. But it just to me that was just showed how duplicitous that guy is. Callis, I liked it. I thought because he's just a smarmy guy. Jericho, I think he can make a face run with him interesting, so long as his wife is staying away from Capitol building riots and he's not having Trump Jr. on his podcast and all these other stuff, flat earthers and all that bullshit on his podcast.
Chris, don't be a sheep. Don't listen to what the lame media tells you, brother.
That stuff is really, really dangerous that Jericho does. I don't think people really appreciate
platforming those kind of
it's legitimizing them. It's like you have a flat earther on your show, and back in the day it was like, okay, whatever, you're a flat earther, you're stupid.
Shout out to AJ Styles.
Yeah, but in today's day and age, with all this anti-intellectualism going on and stuff, when you're doing that kind of crap, you are attracting people that just want to doubt everything. They want to say slavery wasn't real nowadays. You know what I'm saying? And it's just a slippery
there were benefits
slope
to slavery.
Yeah. If you guys get a chance, watch those PragerU animated shorts where Frederick Douglass is on there just defending slavery and Christopher Columbus and all that crap. But if Jericho reins it in, he's fine. But Ospreay's got to win this, man. This is his coming out party. This is him on the big stage. Guys like him are going to be the future of AEW. I don't think it's goofy shit like MJF at the moment. I think if you could ungoofy that shit up, you could do stuff with it. But right now I'm feeling Ospreay, and I'm feeling Ospreay's future in AEW. And so shame that WWE didn't do what they could to get him, but love that AEW got him.
Go ahead and make it a sweep, Ray.
Yeah, we're going to keep this sweet train rolling, keep the brooms coming out. I think it's going to be Ospreay as well. I do think, even though Jericho is popular everywhere, I do think Will Ospreay is going to have the home court advantage.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I think I think we mentioned Saraya. Other than her and him, they're the only two like English countrymen on the card, I believe. So I think, especially if you want to continue to have that steam going for Ospreay Omega 3, I think you got to have him get the W. You can always work Jericho in with something later on down the road, but I think Ospreay has to get the dub.
Okay, Ospreay with the dub. What's next, Ray? How many more matches we got on this damn show?
Just two more.
Hey, we on the home stretch. All right, give us our co-main event of the evening, Ray Williams.
Well, we finally gotten to the Professor's most anticipated match with Samoa Joe, my favorite wrestler, versus the Muffin Man himself, One Bill Phil, CM Punk, for the real World's Championship.
Yes, because this is what happens when you stop being polite, Ray Williams, and you start getting real. You get a real World Championship, and our real World Championship is going to stay with the reigning, defending, undefeated, undisputed, regular, because he eats all those brand muffins, man. One Bill Phil. I think it's going to be a hell of a match. It's going to be electric, much more fitting this rivalry than the Collision match, even though I thought the Collision match was decent. I think this is going to be the setting for like the final chapter. And it's Optimus Prime and Megatron. Let this be our final battle, Ray. But all that being said, I don't see a way where Samoa Joe walks out of this with the real World Championship. It's going to be the Muffin Man all day. Chris?
I want to say this about the real World Championship at first. I don't mind it. You
prefer the Road Rules World Championship?
My only thing is I do think they could, if you're going to have another, just go ahead and sanction another world title and give it a name and a unique design without the goofy. Do that at the show. You know what I'm saying? I don't care about that. I really wanted Samoa Joe to win their first match because I thought it would be a better story if CM Punk won this match.
Right.
Now I'm not sure exactly what they want to do. I wouldn't be surprised if Samoa Joe won this match. I really wouldn't be.
Okay.
But I just don't know who to pick in this situation because Samoa Joe is not Samoa Joe is not a guy that I think CM Punk is going to be trying to bully and throw his weight around with. I think they respect each other from their long relationship. I'm gonna go with Joe only because I think that's I think that's just a better story at the time. Not Punk. I don't want any static with you, my dude.
Oh, you gonna get it. You gonna get it.
Me and you are cool.
You thought that Omos beef was real. This is gonna be real.
Yeah. I'm saying this. I'm saying that Joe's gonna win because I think Punk is. I don't think Punk is this malevolent bastard that the internet thinks he is. I think Punk won't buy Joe winning. So
Punk gonna make Chris sit at the kitty table.
Listen to this message, Punk. But I like Joe in this match.
Okay.
But this is just me going against the grain.
So we got 1-for-1 Bill Phil, 1 for Samoa Joe out on these streets. What about you, Ray? Who you got?
Chris, you don't have to worry about going to Collision, brother. You on the list now. You're third on the list.
Chris got to sit outside the locker room.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I'm really digging the stuff that Samoa Joe is doing, and I really think his run with the TNT Championship was cut way too short. I think he could have kept running with that real King of TV. Boy, I just think, and I know some people are like, ROH is a good fit, but it's like it seemed like such a relegation to have him be the TV champion. And so I although my heart wants to say Samoa Joe, my head is going.
I mean, really, he does feel like the face of ROH, even though he's not the ROH world champion.
Yeah, him and Athena,
And like he's another one of those guys like Sting that deserved a way better WWE run than he got. He did get to main event with Brock Lesnar, which was cool. I loved it. There was a scene with him and Paul Heyman where Paul Heyman is out there talking his shit. Punk just listens, or Joe just listens to him the whole time, and then he just drops the mic and he just goes up to him and he says, "I'm about to choke you out. I'm about to squeeze it." It was the greatest thing. And he just chokes the dude out. He's like, "I'm mad." And then people say, "We want Lesnar. We want Lesnar." And then he just yells, "And so do I." And that's Samoa Joe. And he's getting the run that he deserves in AEW. And hopefully something comes of this. And again, I don't mind the X World title. Just make it a real sanctioned belt. I don't even care if I don't care about CM Punk and MJF feud again. If they want to do that, that's fine.
Right.
But I mean, if you're gonna have two split rosters, what's the big deal about making two world championships? Someone give me a good argument against doing it, because it doesn't fucking matter at this point.
Nope. So we got one for Punk, one for Joe. Ray, who did you pick?
Golden Vampires.
You going with the Golden Vampire? All right, and that brings us Ray Williams. You know, we've done enough talking, brother. It's time for the main event.
Thank you, World's Strongest Man. Yes, indeed. It is time for the main event. Potentially our ROH tag team champions going against one another for the AEW.
The mega powers explode.
Maybe AEW World Championship. We got MJF versus Adam Cole. Cole Bebe is not his last name. I got to keep telling myself that.
Yeah. Well, that's what I call him. So.
Just the whole thing, like a pimp named Slickback. You got to say it's all in one.
Yeah, yeah.
His mama call him Adam Cole Bebe. I'm gonna call him Adam Cole Bebe. First things first. I think that's CM Punk texting Chris. I said, dog. I heard what you said, player. Yeah. First things first. That crowd is going to go crazy for a lot of these entrances. But I think Adam Cole's entrance, they're going to go crazy for this one. I think I'm with Chris on this one, though, Ray. And now that I'm thinking about it, I should feel more invested. Like, it's going to be a great match. Like, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But I should feel more invested in Adam Cole going for this than I do right now. And I think it's part of that because of the brofoonery that's been taking place. I think it's going to be a hell of a match. I think it would be interesting if they do come in as tag champs and they're facing off. But his comments about Lufisto, which were boneheaded and short-sighted, aside, I'm going to give it to our boy Maxwell on these streets. Burberry gang, stand up. MJF for the win. Chris, who you got, man?
I don't know. I'm again, people are interested in this. Sometimes it's not about me, you know what I'm saying? This is just one of those things that's just is doing nothing for me. I know our boy, our boss, one of our bosses, Pollock, is very interested in this feud, or interested in a MJF face run. I don't care. I just
Chris is not here for it.
Yeah, I'm not here for it. I'm not necessarily against it, but I don't think this is a needle mover, whatever they do. I just don't.
Okay.
It's too goofy, too stupid, too dumb for anybody to take seriously. I'm talking about casuals. With that said, I would like for Adam Cole Bebe to win it.
Okay.
That's my preference. I could see them doing some swerve where Adam Cole is the one that turns into a bad guy. I think both of those dorks are heels in this feud, just because it's that goofy to me. I'd like Ray said, I do think the talking segments between them do add some edge to this feud and some air of seriousness to it. But even with that stuff, it's just too, trampoline parks and shit. My dude, I did that shit back in the night. That was like my days of going to like Discovery Zone and Celebration Station and all these.
You mean you ain't trying to go play laser tag, Chris?
Yeah, laser tag and stuff like that.
So we can take Cash Wheeler with us.
You like grown ass men going to a trampoline park, throwing dodgeballs at kids. this is not my thing. This is just not for me. This is for who it's for. And I'm not judging any one of you if you like this. There's just
not out loud.
Yes, this is a cultural. I'm not judging y'all. Period. This is a cultural disconnect.
Yes.
So it just is. But I love Adam Cole. I love Adam Cole.
Yeah.
MJF, I think he's decent in spurts.
Adam Cole's debut still one of the great, like the combination of Daniel Bryan, Danielson, and Adam Cole showing up at the end of that pay-per-view. One of the greatest moments in this company's history.
All-time great moment. All-time great. And I definitely think Adam Cole was the guy that got done in by WWE wanting to shave his head and turn him into a manager and that kind of bullshit. I want to see an Adam Cole feud with Keith Lee or something like that. You know, I want this. I want the ante to be upped. You know, I want this thing to be over with tomorrow. It's not gonna be because people like it, but I'll go along with it. And this will be the week that I complain about this goofy shit. When we do this show next month, hopefully I will be more in tune with it. And again, please send me tweets and inbox me or whatever, and just tell me where I'm wrong. I want to be
tell him when he's telling lies.
Yeah, I want my mind to be changed. I just right now, this is goofy, and it's beyond the levels of goofy that I'm used to.
It's a bridge too far.
It's a bridge way too far for me, man. And with that,
I Golden Gate Bridge,
right? And I give you the floor with this, Ray, because I am done with this shit, man. It's not for me.
No worries. Well, I do think for me, I think like the serious promos that they've been cutting and kind of like that dynamic with them as a tag team has kind of been. For me, it's kind of been negating the brofoonery.
All right, that's a good thing too. I like that, you know.
So especially like last week when they were going into, even though like this thing with MJF pandering to that, it's like how many times is the boy gonna cry wolf? It's right. like I don't know if I can fall for it this time, brother. I was like, I was with you when you were up against Punk and you were saying how you were getting bullied and stuff. But I do like kind of the importance that both men were putting on this particular show at All In. And so, and I kind of like, this is what I was alluded to when we were talking about the first match of the card, where I'm thinking it's going to be more of a slow burn. Because I do think if they do end up winning the tag team championships, I do think it's going to go in the way of they're going to do a competitive match, and then it's like MJF, he's going to go to his old ways of finding a way to take a shortcut. He's going to end up winning. And now on Collision, we saw how Adam Cole reacted when MJF kind of dropped the ball. Now, when the shoe is on the other foot, how is MJF going to react? Is he going to be a good sport about it? Or are we going to start seeing like those little seeds starting being planted is where, oh, he got one over on me. Is he going to be, is he going to be as genuine? And is he going to be as forgiving when MJF took the loss if he ends up taking the loss in the championship match?
And we've also got like the Roddy Strong of it all too.
Exactly. I was just about to get into the Roddy Strong and the Kingdom.
Ray, I was going to ask you, since you brought it up, what do you think is the more likely scenario? Roddy Strong turning and joining Adam Cole, or Roddy Strong turning and joining MJF? Because I know, like, I think the last time I listened to Pollock and Way, they were on the side, or at least Pollock was on the side that MJF needs to be a face. And I just don't see the baby face with MJF. I just don't see it. I see like fans liking him, but I don't see it like I don't see this explosion.
He ain't no Cody Devontae Rhodes.
Yeah, I don't see that. And this isn't. And again, because I don't think John is wrong. I respect John's wrestling opinion. It just MJF is not a guy I can cheer.
Can't rock with him.
Yeah, I can't like the way he's been presented to me. I would much rather Roddy just turn and go with MJF instead of going with Adam Cole. I think Adam Cole is just a more likable dude.
Yes,
in my opinion, I don't know.
Especially like his wife's a baby face right now.
Right? Yeah.
So we can't be breaking up families over this.
Yeah,
but a lot of people are kind of on the other side where they're like, man, we're tired of Adam Cole acting like all that's goody two shoes. We need the real Adam Cole back. We need the undisputed.
Yeah, I've heard that too. Yeah.
So I think, like I said, it's gonna be a slow burn. I think Adam Cole, after prediction, MJF's gonna win. Okay. I think Adam Cole is gonna, during that night, he's gonna be cool about it. But then I think next week, if they're still gonna be a part of the tag team, I think Adam Cole is going to join up with Roderick Strong in the Kingdom once again. And I think they're going to turn on MJF or just leave him out there by himself. And I think you don't have to play like the white meat baby face with MJF, but you can still play the anti-hero. You can still play like a Stone Cold where he's like dipping on both sides, and kind of with the analogy with the fable that you guys brought up with the scorpion and the frog is like, we all know MJF and this scorpion, but he's such a charismatic scorpion.
I think that's a compelling point that you brought up. So if they do it that way, I don't think I'll mind it. It's just the way it's been done at the moment. It's just not moving the needle for me. But yeah, they could go the route that you're saying, and it be perfectly fine.
All right, so that's our all-in preview, predictions, prognostications, if you will. We do have an interesting question. Okay, that's Ron saying we need the Panama Playboy back. But Ron had a question earlier. I'm looking for it in the chat where he mentioned, are we going to get House of Black versus the Acclaimed on this show? And my thing, or do they save that for Collision? My thinking is, I want to see it on this show just because the Acclaimed in that atmosphere. Oh my goodness. Like the British bars that Caster could bring to the table. But also, this card is lacking a little bit of melanin, man.
Yeah.
Where the brothers at, man? I feel like I'm at Sal's Pizza, Ray trying to get a slice, and all I see is Joe DiMaggio and Frank Sinatra, on the wall.
How come we ain't got no brothers at all? Shout out to
Giancarlo brothers on the wall, TK.
Yeah, shout out to Giancarlo Esposito. Yeah.
So do you guys think we'll get the Acclaimed and House of Black added to this card? Or are they going to save it for Collision?
I don't think we're getting added to this card. I hope they need some kind of color on this shit. All
right, let's go back. So the people of so in terms of folks that aren't our Caucasian brothers and sisters, we've got Sheeta, we've got Takeshita, we've got Kota, we've got Yuta, we've got Eddie Kingston, we've got maybe Santana and Ortiz if Chris's prediction comes true.
Yeah.
Maybe.
We've got Prince Nana, and I think that might be it.
We got AR Fox and Swerve.
AR Fox and Swerve. Okay. Yeah. So that even then though, that's still not a lot of color on this card.
Right. It's not.
This card feels like an episode of The Honeymooners, man. Like it's a little monochromatic, baby.
Yeah. It's not catering to everybody. It's not variety for everybody.
Yeah, like it's a good card. It's a good card.
Yeah, it's a decent card.
But it could be a little bit more diverse, is all we saying.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I think it'll be more. I don't think it's going to be on this show because again, the over is probably, even with these matches, the over is going to be over 3 hours 45 minutes.
Yep.
I think it'll be a good thing to put on All Out, because they're still kind of doing this storyline now that House of Black, for some reason, they took the boots that Billy left in the ring. They stole them. So now it's like, I guess they gotta build up. I don't know if they're gonna do it on Dynamite or on Rampage, where they're building up to Billy finally saying, you know what, I'm gonna come back for one more run, and this time we're gonna get those trios titles. So I think they're saving that for All Out.
And I think that the House of Black have kind of peaked with these trios titles at the moment. Not saying that they've done anything bad or they're
really good together.
Yeah, but it's just time for something else with that. With that, it's stale. It's run its course.
So speaking of run its course, not that this episode has been stale, it has been anything but. Like this again, going to that Muffin Man. This is like a fresh batch of blueberry muffins on these streets. So last call for any super chats or comments from the audience. But while we do that, let's go to our guest this week, Chris. Let's go to our guy, 10-Day Ray Williams, who stepped up, even though we had to put him at the kiddie table at certain points of this episode this month. Ray, anything you want to promote? Any final thoughts on anything we've talked about? The floor is yours, brother. The floor that you've been eating your dinner off of because you had to learn the pecking order here at the NWA Podcast.
Well, like I said on the last episode of NWA, I'm earning my keep, guys. I know where I belong. I know where I belong. I know I haven't gotten up to that ban you from collision level yet, so I'm just a young rookie. Please don't poop in my gear bag, please.
No, we ain't gonna go Randall on you, brother. We ain't gonna do that.
So where you can find me, of course, with both of these fine brothers, these fine gentlemen, on a little podcast that Nate is probably going to plug as well, Kings of Sport Podcast. Also my socials, I'm on Twitter, Instagram, and now Threads at Mondo Dondo 1. I'm actually putting up content. It's hard being a content creator out here, guys. So now I'm starting to try to get the hang of putting up pro wrestling content up there. So please. And I learned that if you don't have your profile public, that you can't get those viral views that you need. So now I just learned that. So yes, please follow me. It is public. Just don't be sending your bots or your AI sex workers after me, please. Mondo Dondo 1.
Oh, they coming. Putin got them on lock. The Russian bots are coming, Ray. Speaking of somebody that fights with Russian bots on the daily, the good brother Kris Ealy. Professor, anything you want to promote? Anybody you want to shout out? The floor is yours, brother.
Oh yeah, so I start my first day at Cal State Fullerton. It was supposed to be tomorrow. I don't know if this rain is going to allow that. Maybe Wednesday. So I'm looking forward to that.
Tony lied to you, Chris.
Right, they lie like a mug.
It never rains in California.
Yeah, we got a tropical storm, rain, an earthquake, and a hurricane in one day. All this.
On that note, real quick, Chris, not to cut you off, but shout out to AEW for the Fight for the Fallen. In terms of the raising money. But folks in Hawaii who are going through a crisis right now, if you can, send them some love and financial support because we all in this together.
Indeed.
Right. Yeah. And that was a cool thing that they did for the brothers and sisters in Maui off the mainland. Yeah, definitely good stuff. And you could just catch me around. I'm not really I'm working on things right now, but it's just I'm preoccupied with.
Tell them about that book, Chris. Tell them about that book you got coming.
I haven't worked on that book in 2 weeks, so I gotta get on it next week, hopefully. But I got so much stuff going on at the moment, and I'm so overwhelmed and trying to get everything. I'm trying to go to WrestleMania, Colombia, South America next year, and I'm trying to do a vacation with my wife because I've noticed my wife hasn't complained about this, but our last 3 or 4 vacations have been wrestling related. So I do want to take her to the
you setting her up for the heel turn, Chris.
Oh yeah, I want to take her to the Usher residency, and I'm not gonna be like Kiki Palmer's
I was gonna say you gotta be careful with that, Chris.
Yeah, I know. I'm not gonna be like, oh, you a mom though, or you a wife though. I don't like I don't play that bullshit, man. I don't like especially if you're with Kiki Palmer, man. You over here trying to play that you a mom card bullshit. It's another subject for another day. We might talk about that on Kings of Sport. But yeah, man, just follow me and keep me in mind. And that's
yeah, some final comments. Edge is not retiring. T. Anthony showing us some love, saying great show, fellas.
I appreciate it, T. Anthony. And yeah, man. So just we're doing it on these streets, man, trying to come up, yo.
Yes, so that is the good Professor Kris Ealy. You can check that man out on these Elon Musk fueled Twitter streets at KM Easy Does It. These X streets.
Yeah.
X don't give it to you.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. So let me go full screen, man. I ain't been full screen all episode. Bam. All right. So where you can find me, of course, is on these X streets at in the number 8 MOZAIK at Nate Mosaic on Twitter. I'm also at Black Nate BLAQUE _ in the number 8 over on Threads, because that's a place where people post things occasionally. I'm not really that active on Threads. But shout out to everybody here at Post Wrestling. Of course, the proprietors of Post Wrestling, John Pollock and Wei Ting, for giving us the platform, man, and being gracious with it. And apologies in advance to Wei for whatever editing he might have to do on this particular episode of the NWA podcast. Also, shout out to Kate from Montreal and the boy John Cino with Collision Course, and as well like the what would you call it, Chris? The Herculean work that folks like W.H. Park and Karen Peterson been putting in on the G1 coverage here at Post along with John Pollock. So we got so much going on here at Post, man. WrestleNomics in the building, man.
Mm-hmm.
We got the BDE, Poison Rana, riding shotgun. There's so much here at Post Wrestling. And if you want to keep this thing going, man, one way to do that is to support Post by signing up for the cafe, man, and showing your love to a great thing that John and Wei have cultivated here. And also, while you showing love to Post Wrestling, you can show love to the Kings of Sport. Kings of Sport podcast is something that's been going on since 2013. Myself and Marcus Vanderberg laid the foundation. Now me, Chris, and this man 10-Day Ray out here on this rollover 10-day contract, keeping the thing going. Mm-hmm. But in order to help facilitate that, I told you off the top, my work schedule is crazy. Chris's work schedule is crazy. We both feel like Jimmy Butler in that bubble finals, man.
Yeah.
We tired on these streets, Ray Williams. And so what we're trying to do for the rest of this year is bring in people like Ray, people like our good brother, the nephew, Andrew Thompson, people like Chinyere Okafor, who you've heard on this program, and some other folks that we really love what they can contribute to this space and the content that they can produce and the thoughts and opinions they can put on these microphones. We want to do more of that. And if you want to help us do more of that, check out the Patreon, patreon.com/Kings of Sport. $5 gets you in the door. $5. You ain't even got to sign up for the Prince Nana Embassy plan to get that $5 to get you in the door. But if you want to pay more, we won't stop you, because anything that you do contribute to us in that fashion does go into making it so that we can put out more shows, put out more conversations, because that's all this really is, Ray. These are conversations that we have around sports, around wrestling, around politics, around pop culture, and we just give you our opinion and the opinion of folks that might look like us and might have had similar life experiences. So if you want to keep supporting that, we would appreciate it. Patreon.com/Kings of Sport is where you can do that. In addition to the Kings of Sport, you can find me all over the place on these podcast streets. I recently did a show with Jennifer Smith, who is a friend of this program, who had a show called You Heard About Pluto, which basically her reviewing shows on Pluto TV. I did the original episode, the debut episode of that show. I came back for another one in the middle of that run. And then finally this past week, she ended her 3-year run on that show. And me and Jennifer Smith turned on Pluto TV and watched the episode of David McClain's Wow, Women of Wrestling, The Next Generation. We had a lot of fun with that, so I'm sure y'all can check that out, dig that. Let's see what else we got. We got Kings of Sport, we got Post Wrestling, we got Place to Be Nation, we got the Lituation Room over on the Multiverse of Color, talking about superhero stuff. I'm sure we'll talk about Blue Beetle here in the future because contrary to what Jermaine in Chicago would have you believe, I'm not a DC hater. I want DC to do good because when they do good, that makes Marvel do better because you got competition in the game. But for everything else, just follow me on Twitter, man, at @8 MOZAIK. And that is going to bring an end to this show and bring an end to my work week because I finally got a day off tomorrow, Chris. They finally. Yeah. I was sitting there like your boy in the boat in Amistad. Give us free all week, man. You know it's bad at the job when you just start singing Negro spirituals.
Right.
Nowhere, Chris. I guess 12 o'clock on a Tuesday, and I'm just like, swing low,
right,
sweet chariot.
Yeah,
and what to carry me home.
Feel you, man. And what a day with a Twitter handle like Nate Mosaic. How could you be a DC hater?
Right. That's the thing. Like Green Lantern, Jon Stewart, my favorite comic character of all time. Black Lightning, DC. Like, there's so many great characters in DC. The movies have just been mid. That's all I'm saying, Jermaine. Mm-hmm. Tell me when I'm telling lies, Jermaine. Go eat a muffin, Jermaine. I don't know why I'm being so aggressive toward that brother tonight. It's because I ain't had a lot of sleep. But again, we want to thank everybody for tuning in this week, man. We appreciate all the comments and the super chats. We'll do it again next month for the September edition of the NWA Podcast, where we will be joined once again by a good brother, the youngest in charge, the nephew, Andrew Thompson. So again, thank you to John Pollock and Wei Ting. And thank you for watching, whether you watch live with us on Sunday night or you're listening to this or watching this in the future. We do appreciate it. So, for the Professor Kris Ealy, for our guy, the rookie Ray Williams, 10-day Ray, go sit at the kiddie table. I am the Godfather, Nate Milton. And remember, the revolution may not be televised, but it damn sure will be podcasted. See y'all in September.
Yo, it's Righteous Reg. It's a case for the safe, keep a space for the Nubians. Unfiltered, off kilter, the Professor, the Godfather, host wrestling the NWA, not keep guessing, The views and expressions, you know the rest, it's pod excellence, get the message. Advocates for Nubian wrestling, you're listening to the best again. Black wrestling in the ring we invested in. Nubian kings and queens we invested in. It's for the culture and we reppin' it. It's for the culture and we reppin' it.